We're playing total catch-up on this episode. We've got Red Dead to talk about, Walking Dead to talk about, other things that don't end in dead, like Breaking Bad. And we've got Marvel news, Star Wars news, Disney news, and a sprinkling of Freddie Mercury. And if we can get through all that, we're then going to discuss Dead Space and the best way to cast and make that film. We've got all that, and actually a little something else on this week's Grand Pitch Thought So. Welcome to Grand Pitch Thought So, the video game to movie fan cast podcast, with Dan, Brett, and Dave. This podcast will contain detailed plot points and spoilers about numerous video games and movies, both old and new, so listener discretion is advised. And don't forget to rate and review the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, or wherever you download your podcasts from. And feel free to get in touch with us on Instagram and Twitter at GPTSPod, and on Facebook at Grand Pitch Thought So. Right, what's up everybody and welcome to the next episode of Grand Pitch Thought So. If this is your first time listening, Grand Pitch Thought So is a podcast where we discuss the latest video game and movie news, and then we move on to doing a fan cast and discussing how a certain game should be adapted. I am your host Dan Hewitt, and I'm joined as always by Brett Amer.
Hello there.
And David Adamson.
Hi.
Now boys,
I feel like I'm going to cry.
Hi, I'm second again.
We'll put this out straight away. No story spoilers for Red Dead 2 because I've only done about 5 or 6 missions. I've just been going around skinning animals.
And he's played it more than either of us, so
Oh,
it must have covered everywhere.
I've played God knows how many hours, and I'm 40% the way through the game. But the story part is less than 10%.
Right.
I've just been playing poker, skinning animals, holding people up.
Yeah. So I'm
robbing people blind.
I'm like 60% into the story, but I've probably only seen about the same amount of the map, if not less. Mm-hmm. Actually, I haven't even been back to Blackwater yet, and I've done 60% of the story.
Oh God! I mean, I'm absolutely loving it. I know you can fast travel, but I've got no interest in that. I also have no interest because I can't remember where places are, and it doesn't tell you on the map where they are. It just says the name, and I'm like, I'm not googling the map, so I'll just walk, I guess.
Yeah.
You can only fast travel from
camp.
From main to main towns.
Yeah.
Apart from that, you can get the train and stuff, which I've done once.
I've only got the
Does
train.
your horse follow it?
Yeah, it does.
Does it?
Yeah.
It seems a bit pointless and
You
a
can
bit
see
shan on
the
the horse. Cinematic.
You can see the horse running after it.
Because I had to do that to get I think is it the sharpshooter or weapons expert. You've got to shoot 5 birds from a moving train.
Right.
So I hopped. This is another one. Like another oh, here we go again. I hopped on the train, started shooting birds, and then some guy was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Uh-oh, bandana up." That did nothing.
He's seen me
immediately wanted Arthur Morgan. I was like, oh, so I blew him away, and then some other guy like running like not running on a horse next to the train was like, "I just saw that." What? Well, you can't possibly know who I am. So I had to shoot him.
Why are you following this train? Were you going to rob this train?
And then all of a sudden I realised, this train is full of like the police.
Right.
And I was like, $65 bounty. I was like, pause, load game.
To be fair,
No way am I shooting all these guys, getting my bounty so high, and then going and paying it off.
If it wasn't going to be lawmen, it was going to be potential witnesses like on the train. So either way, I think you're bollocks.
That's my one complaint so far is the bandana just seems to do very little.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
It seems to be that you can rob one person, but if you stay in the red zone, they know it's you. Yet they don't know it's you. But if someone robs them, I'm sure they'll say, "Oh, it's smart enough to be like, it's that guy in the brown jacket," and then the lawman will be like, "I know who that is. It's that guy from Dutch's gang." I'm sure that is actually the realism being put in, but it just seems to be that if you don't rob, so to get a band at level 1, which is probably all seen, you have to hold up 5 people. So I was running up to some woman, throwing a gun in her face, taking her 5 cents that she had, and then just running. Hiding behind a building, waiting for the bar to go down, and then running back out and holding up her again. This poor woman had a harrowing day with me. And it took me like 15 minutes, and I was like, well, it's kind of pointless because I want to be able to go around doing bits and pieces, yet the bandana does nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can upgrade the bandana, perhaps.
Yeah.
But that's my
I
only
suppose
thing.
we
Suppose
get masks.
in one sitting like that though, when you've got your bandana on and you go around in them clothing, they're going to know who you are.
Well, no.
And then when you get a
that's
bounty
true,
for
yeah.
them clothing, apparently, you know, you get little information and loading screens and things. I think you're encouraged to change your clothes, like you said.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, grow facial hair, change your beard, change your moustache, and that all helps towards them.
How long? Oh yeah, beards and hair.
I keep shaving it. I keep
I've
bottling
been-
it and shaving it.
I've been drinking hair tonic like it's going out of fashion, and I'm only at length 6, and it's infuriating.
I haven't been drinking a hair tonic, but
I might be addicted to hair tonic.
I've been treating it exactly the same as I treat life and just not taking any care of his face at all.
You've been eating stew constantly.
The only part of the beard that I've shaved is the middle bit,
Oh no.
and it
Yeah,
looks
that guy.
it looks great actually.
Yeah, it's like, who robbed you? That guy.
So I think it's 9. It's 9 on the sides.
Oh, I love it.
Name.
It's 9 on the
Give us a
sides,
name.
and it's a 2 in the middle.
Mm.
And it's the longest hair you can
Yeah,
get.
because the thing I found that you have to.
Can you grow your hair long?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Can you?
Proper
Like,
long, yeah.
Tie it up in that.
I don't
Like
think you
that
can tie
kind
it
of
up. Yeah, it's long enough to do that, but
Is it?
you don't get the option to do that.
Yeah.
Have you been to the barbers though? Because they can do different things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you have to grow the hair a certain length, otherwise
Yeah.
they won't trim it. So there's like whatever I've marked what I want him to have, but I have to have like length 8 or something before you'll trim it. And I'm like,
Yeah, but my it's shoulder length on mine.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's the thing, you get like that obsessed with, ooh, get something new for Arthur, don't you? You don't do anything in the game but like
Look at his lovely hair.
well,
growing his
but you
hair,
do
or
that,
getting new clothes or
everything about it.
customizing your revolver or something.
Yeah.
Well, everything about it is like is amazing. It really
Yeah.
is. Like there's nothing I like more than like going in and getting the catalogue out and then having to flip through all the pages and being like, what a load of crap. This guy's always got
Which
crap
the
in.
catalogue did a really like nice way of doing
Yeah.
it as well.
Yeah.
And then I'll be looking through the thing and he'll be like, what's that smell? Is that you? I'm like, what the fuck? I'm being called out by the shopkeeper because I haven't bathed for the last couple of days.
And you
And
farted,
I'm also covered in ox blood.
you farted in real life at that very moment and started to feel guilty about it.
Turn it off quickly. It's not the disc.
It knows too much, it's out the way.
It's so good. It's like I love all the little bits and pieces. I love the whole thing of like there was a guy. I'm presuming that you'd have all stumbled across the guy with the snake bite.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
Like 3
he's
times.
I feel like he's
That's why it's 2
flattered
different guys
for
actually.
sure. And I got a funny story about him because I met him. I could have given him the health tonic, but I wanted to suck it out. And then about a couple of days later, I bumped into him and he was like, "Go and get something from the gunsmith." And now obviously the gunsmith, you can only buy guns that you already own, which is kind of an odd thing to do.
Well,
because-
it's not that you already on, but that you've unlocked.
yeah, you've touched or so you've come in contact in some
Yeah.
way, and which is early on in the game a bit of a pain because you're like, I haven't unlocked anything, and the ones that I have unlocked I'm keeping because they're better than
Can't afford anything
a
early in the game.
worn
anyway.
cattleman revolver. I don't want that. So I go in and I get like the bandolier or whatever for free, and I go back out and I go to press L2 to thank him with square, but I accidentally press R2. Quick draw, blow him away. Bounty $200. I'm like,
So is this with your new gun?
I was like, paused, story, load game, back in time, and it goes back in time to when I bought it.
Yeah.
So luckily the guy's still alive, and I'm just like walking around Bounty, and I was like,
Had you shot him with the gun that he
no,
had
I got a bandolier.
sorry, yes,
Yeah.
you do.
So I just blew him away. The blood was everywhere. The guy, he was sat on a bench next to another guy, and the other guy was like, "Ah!" I was like,
The
oh.
thing, like that kind of thing, is really frustrating. Like, you know, if you say I was doing a mission where I couldn't have a bounty, and I was walking through a town to get to this mission on my horse, walking because I'd like to take it in. It looks amazing. Everything's beautiful about it. So I kind of
Everything is
around.
cinematic camera.
Yeah.
Any point, push that button.
So I was walking through town with my horse, and then there was a guy walking across the street with a big plank of wood on his shoulder. And I was like, oh God, right, mate. And I was like, wait a second, you know, wait for me, I'm on a horse. And then he kind of went across and he stopped and I kind of stopped. And it was like, you know, when people are trying to get out of each other's way but going the same way on the game. And I slightly touched his bit of wood and he dropped it. And then I had a wanted level and the mission disappeared. And I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. How annoying.
There is definitely things like that. Have you come across that? There's a couple of people who you come across who challenge you to shooting competitions, like shooting.
Oh, the Spanish, the
bottles.
Mexican guy.
There's like the Spanish guy, and then there's an American one as well.
I haven't come across an American.
I
but-
beat the Spanish one, and then I must have just been having a bad day. The American guy beat us quite badly, and and I went to move on to the he beat us in the first round, then obviously you get your second round, and as he was saying, hard luck for the first round, I think I went to turn around to talk to him, and I think I must have accidentally pressed B, so I punched him down onto the floor with my gun. And then obviously panicked and must have pressed the shoot button, blew his head off. So he went down on his knees and just blew his head off. And I was like, oh, well, that's that done then.
Suppose
I win.
Loot that body.
It's quite amazing how quickly you can all go to shit. Isn't it?
Oh yeah.
And it's unintentional sometimes.
But there being no technology in the world, somehow you could be wanted across the state.
I was piling across this road, right? And then a stagecoach was coming, so I kind of slowed down and whatever. And as I went past him, a cougar jumped on my horse.
Oh
right?
yeah.
So a cougar jumped on my horse now. I barged into the stagecoach and he shit himself. And he nicked off, right? And then had a little thing saying, "Whoa, naughty boy," wanted comes up and I'm like, what have I done to cougar, So then I'm blasting this cougar and he knocks me off and my horse is called Graham. I'm very worried about him. At this point I'm like, Graham! And I'm blasting all away at this cougar and I eventually got him and I'm like, well, I might as well skin him.
Of course. So
as I'm doing that, I'm skinning him and I can see in the cinematic over the thing that the stagecoach man was coming back with about 5 lawmen. And I'm like, I can't get out of this animation. I'm skinning away and I'm like, bollocks are coming, bollocks! Graham, get up, Graham!
I can't stop skinning this cougar.
And then as I was skinning, they came over and they told us to put my hands up and that. And eventually I got out the animation, I held it and I turned around with my bloody knife and I just went, and they went, nah. And it blew us away and killed us. I was like, this is unbelievable. All because the cougar attacked us as I was going past the stagecoach. And how close were the lawmen though? I was in the middle of nowhere. Where did they come from?
One of the worst places to be for that is Saint Denis. Is that you can't go anywhere without getting into some kind of trouble.
There's so many people.
Yeah, so I've just done a great mission where you got loads of money from it. Quite happy. Jumped on my horse, moved I think about 2 meters, knocked over a policeman, got out together. and then I'm thinking, right, okay, well I'll just get out of Saint Denis, it'll be fine. And then just started getting worse and worse. And then I ended up having a $700 bounty. Those people coming from us, bounty hunters coming for us. Yeah. And I eventually got out. The one that were gone, and then the bounty hunters came after us afterwards. Shot me horse in the head.
Oh God!
So in which case I would usually go, right, okay, stop, load game. But they killed me at the same time. So it started again. I got revived, and it saved the game. Auto saved the game. A whistle from my horse and a different one came.
Oh no!
So I lost me.
What was his name?
Level 4 bonded horse.
What was his name?
Called Bojack Horseman.
Poor Bojack.
Poor Bojack.
What's your horse called then?
Silver.
Boring. I wanted to call my horse Shearer, but he wasn't black and white, so I had to go with Graham.
As soon as you get that black and white.
Mine's
horse,
I got a pre-order, so I've got a grey horse.
So like a war horse, is it?
Oh, I've got that, but I haven't put the code in.
Something. Yeah, some sort of war horse.
I don't even. I pre-ordered, but I don't think I got a code.
Is it not in your box?
Don't think so. I might not have even looked at it, to be honest, long enough. I mean, quickly get in there, hide the box.
Oh, I had a nightmare with my Xbox actually. It's not really Red Dead related, but because I've been playing that much Red Dead, I wanted to watch a cowboy film. So I realised I had True Grit, the new one. So I just have them in discs, right? I don't have the boxes anymore. And there'd been a sticker on it at some point, obviously. I think I got it from Granger Games. Pulled the sticker off and it stuck to the pamphlet.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, that'd be alright. I stuck it in the Xbox. Watched 10 minutes of it and then me and Jess decided, I'm not bothered, we'll do something else. So, and I left it in there all night because it was sticking in the tub. In the morning I went to play on Red Dead. And I pressed the button to get it out and it totally freaked out, clicking away going, and I was like, oh, I got Red Dead 2 days ago and it broke me disc drive. And I had to get an Allen key and ram it in the side and force it out.
Honestly, in the run up to
terrified.
Red Dead getting released, I actually had a really irrational fear of something happened to my Xbox, and I don't usually get that. But in the week before, I was just at work thinking, I hope my Xbox doesn't break.
How bad's that?
It's just staring, just dragging away.
I don't know about you guys though. Since I played it, in fact, no, probably weeks before I did. It's just been constant in my mind. I've been at home, I've been playing it. If I've been at work, I've been on the Reddit, looking at things, dodging spoilers.
Yeah.
I tried not to do because of that.
Yeah.
I'm very specific of going into IGN. I've got a pretty good wiki about it that doesn't have comments, so you can't really get spoilers. You will get spoilers because obviously you'll accidentally stumble across something, but no one can comment and say things. So it's a lot of the times it's the treasure maps that I cannot work out.
Are you cheating on the treasure maps?
Well, There was one because I looked at it and I was like, I was walking around for ages because it was like it was like go down here and turn left, and I was like,
the Jack Hall
I'm there. Yeah, the Jack Hall one.
That's the only one I've done.
And I looked it up and I was like, it's the one. It's a mountain opposite to the mountain you get the map on, and I was like, how am I possibly supposed to know that?
Well, it's quite significant, that map, because on that one there's a kind of cliff top, but then there's two strands of rock onto the right of it, big kind of pillars of it, and it's the only place that's like that. So until you stumble across it, you're not going to notice. But funnily enough, I got it because I just upgraded Arthur's camp so you could fast travel. I thought I'm just going to fast travel to Valentine, or it's called.
Yeah.
And I saw it on the little fast travel animation. I went, it's got to be around here. So I went up the highest point and had a look around, found it, did all that.
Yeah. That's the only
it felt
thing.
very rewarding though, not to cheat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you've also got to get the level. You can level next map.
Mate, I've done all that. It's the only one I've done, but I've done all
I've done all of that one.
I've done all of Jack Hall, and there was another one because I'm treasure hunter level 8.
I haven't done any of this. I don't know.
I haven't even
paid
started.
any
There was
attention to
something.
that.
I've just mainly
There was
focused on the story.
there was another map, and I worked out where it was, and I walked into the cabin, and there was a bear in the cabin.
Yeah, I've seen videos of that again from through the Reddit, which like was a bit of a spoiler. Mainly, I don't get the spoilers. Mainly, it's just memes and stuff, and I have to put on there if it's going to be a spoiler. So because there's people who like apparently watching it like 24/7. If a spoiler comes up, they'll tag it as a spoiler or they'll delete it. So I look at the memes, and again, just like that's 90% of my work day. Well, obviously when I'm not working is just looking at Red Dead memes and just laughing my head off.
I mean, just going around, not fast traveling and going around, and then just putting dead eye on like every couple of seconds, and then just being like, something's over there. I'm gonna go investigate it, and then being like, because I spent about 2 hours hunting for dinosaur bones.
Did you? You did that?
And
I haven't started it.
So far, I've got about 7.
It's quite good, isn't it?
But it's just But if they're not by the side of the road, with dead eye.
I don't do the roads anymore.
I don't know if dead eye gets
roads.
Oh, roads, yeah.
I've been going off road like.
I don't know if I quite often cut across things, and that's probably the best time to do it, because there's a certain flower that if you don't pick it, you don't be the herbalist, whatever challenge or whatever doesn't start. So I've been picking up all these bits and pieces and bringing back mint, and so they can cook different foods and
it
stuff.
hasn't actually affected it.
And it hasn't affected anything. And then I was doing something around the guy who's building the house outside of Valentine, and I was just running around. I was actually doing that bandit stuff. Like a thing popped up in the corner. I was like, oh, there must be something to pick up there, and it was the flower, and it was that flower that started the herbalist challenge. And I was like, maybe
it was like
grief.
You'd have to do certain part of the story.
There's definitely that as well.
There's a lot of things like that.
There's a lot of things like that they don't tell you, because there's I was hunting the legendary buck, and I was hunting it every day that I played the game. I went to try and hunt it, and every day it was like, oh, it's too busy. And I was like, why is it so busy? I've got no bounty. I've got nothing going on. So I went and I was like, oh, maybe it's because there's a cougar around, or there's a camp. And yes, there was a camp, and then there was some other a random stranger and a cougar, and I killed them all. And I just kept going back, and it wasn't there. And then after a certain mission, I went back, and there it was.
Yeah,
I was like, well, fair enough, I guess.
I'm in the middle of chapter 3, I think, and even now when I'm doing missions, it's opening up new things
definitely.
that I'm able to
It makes you realise how big the story even is. I mean,
I almost feel like I'm still being introduced to the game, even though I'm so far in it, because almost every time I do a mission, I learn something new that I can do, or I get access to something new. Yeah. It's amazing.
It's that big a game that it's one of those kind of games where it has to remind you of which buttons to press every time something comes up, because it's not often that this comes, it's not.
It's clever how they've even though they've got so much to tell you that you can do and introduce to you, that it's worked into the story in a way that it doesn't feel like you're still kind of, these are like boring missions or whatever. It's still like really good.
I think the good thing about the map is as well is that because of all the little bits and pieces that are on it, I find that quite often I'm just like finding like single houses and being like, I'm going to go to that house and see what's there. Yeah. And sometimes you walk up to it and you can't open it, you can't kick it down, you can't do anything, and you just got to walk away. And sometimes you'll get in, you'll find like 4 cigarette cards, and you're like, oh, wicked.
Yeah, and you'll find you'll find some kind of gem, like in terms of like a cutscene or something.
Have you had any kind of mad random encounters?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Nothing too. I've nothing out of the ordinary at the minute. Mainly, it's just like people telling me things that then like. So I keep getting like clues to where to rob people.
Oh dear.
So
Yes, I've had that. Like if you
where to rob people.
if you give some money to a homeless man, he might give you a tip or something like that.
Alright.
Yeah, or if you just
Just one of the vets.
Oh, yeah, who Mikey, the insane vet. I must have given him $1,000 every day. I'm like, hey Mikey, here's your dollar, and he's like, thank you, Mister. I want to hug you, and I'm like, get lost, Mikey. Take my dollar and get out of here.
Well, there's loads of homeless people in Saint Denis, and everyone if you give them some money.
Where?
Saint Denis.
I think I've been there.
Oh really?
It's like
the big city
after the bayou.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like St. Louis. Basically.
Well, I was doing. You've done the one where the guy gives you the photos and he's like, "These are legendary gunfighters. Go and find them."
The good guy.
One of them is in the bayou.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go south where she lived, you get to Saint Denis. But whilst I was there, I was like, well, I might as well look around and see what's here. Crocodile. I was dead.
Yeah.
I didn't see one of them. Yeah.
Oh, there's absolutely loads when you get to a certain point. Yeah, like literally, if you go into the marshes, what was that? What you call them? Swamps.
Yeah.
Dozens. If you can literally spot dozens as you look out.
Yes, I'm buzzing for a
Right, well, we're 20 minutes in and we've talked about nothing but Red Dead.
Well, there's loads of things to talk about.
I know, but we'll talk about more next week. I'm just aware that we don't want to like.
Should we talk about what films that we've seen?
Well, I'll go very quickly. I watched all of Daredevil season 3. It was all right. I saw Bohemian Rhapsody. I thought it was all right. Although it did seem to insinuate that if you had a mustache and were a brunette male in the 80s, you were a homosexual.
Right.
Like every single person who they were like, oh, Freddie's actually gay with this guy. Brunette guy with a mustache.
The thing is, though, is that all these people are based on real people, and if you look at the photos, it is so. That theory might be true.
But it was like everything, like even in Brazil or in America, like no matter who it was just like guy.
Like people showing around the world watching.
It was as if he was
Queen
like,
concerts, like their mustaches.
It was as if he was like, I guess I better grow a mustache because I'm a gay brunette guy.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of it was just very odd. Because like it would do these sweeping shots and everyone looked exactly the same.
This is the 80s, you know.
But other than that, it obviously took some liberties because you've got to. But overall, it was all right.
I quite enjoyed it myself. Like
I think the guy playing Rami Malek as Freddy was great, but the other actors are like TV level actors. Like one of them was a soap star.
The guy who played Brian May was spot on.
The guy who plays Brian May was exactly what you'd expect for Brian May, but that guy is from Midsomer Murders.
Isn't like Timmy in it from Jurassic Park?
He plays.
Is he in the band?
Oh, what's he? The bassist.
Is he?
Yes.
John.
He's actually really good at him as well, mind. Like
he was in the Pacific. Remember?
He was mint because he only ever said about in total he must have said about 30 words, and 9 times out of 10 he said one word, which was just like a cutting, sarcastic remark.
Prick.
And then obviously I saw Halloween as well, which was great.
You really enjoyed?
Except for there was one character who I absolutely hated and should have been cut from the film. But I understand why they put him in because they felt that they should have. But he was absolutely terrible. I hated him.
This is the Doctor.
Yeah, I hated the Doctor.
Yeah,
absolutely hated that Doctor. And he shouldn't have been in it. I understand that they wanted a Loomis, but he shouldn't have been in it.
I don't know how I feel about that film. I don't know what I was expecting. I mean, maybe there was elements that were really good, but I think it was a bit convoluted.
Yeah, it was. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think if I was going to improve it, I probably would have, of course, removed the Doctor, and also of just that bit where he's walking through the streets,
killing people.
Like when in long takes, I've just been like, give me 40 minutes of that. 5 minutes at the beginning, 40 minutes of that, and then give me like the actual bit with Laurie at the end.
Yeah, the bits with Laurie were great.
Mm-hmm. But I just the way when he was just like the way he was walking was so good. And I know that they brought in a new guy, but the guy who played him originally taught him how to act like it, and it was just the way he was just like. Reading something he was saying that Michael Myers is like a cat. It reacts to things. He reacts to things that other characters don't react to because he's got like heightened senses and all this stuff. But just the way he would the way he picked up like hammers was no other killer would pick up a hammer that way. But the way he did, like kind of like a lunatic, it just looked so good.
I think all the people who he killed, who you were supposed to no one cared about, you didn't give a shit about, because they were like friends of the third generation of
yeah, that whole like they
and
have
then
like
the
a Halloween party and
podcast
all that stuff.
makers, like
Mhm.
they were effectively only in it so that he could get his mask back.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was
That was the only purpose of those two
yeah.
players.
And again, that's the thing. At the beginning, they could have made things a little bit quicker, by cutting out every scene with the Doctor.
That scene with the Doctor, I mean, I know they have to get Michael to the particular place for the end of the climax of the film, and that was the way they decided to do it, but my god, that was awful.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely awful.
I was very upset. It was the nun level bad.
Yeah.
Was it really?
It's
films that I haven't seen
it's nowhere near
that-
as bad as that.
Yeah.
It is worth watching.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's still like
There was a bit at the
I
end.
am still going to watch it. I haven't seen
Yeah.
The Nun Mine because of the comments you both made about it.
There was a bit at the end. I'm not going to spoil it, but you'll understand. And anyone who's seen it will where you think it's going down one way, and then the last minute it changes.
Mhm.
And I was like, I like that. That's really cool. But then instantly, there's a line from Jamie Lee Curtis that completely and utterly ruined everything.
Really. One line.
She said something
a
like
powerful
"Happy
line.
Halloween, Michael" or something,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Oh, this is
Yeah.
disgusting."
And then they also do
Happy
the whole,
Halloween.
then they also
Oh
do
god!
the whole thing where they're like, I think they do things where they clearly like, oh, it's only going to be a one-off. It's only going to be a one-off, and then you read in the press, and they're immediately like, no, we're going to try and do a sequel. And it's like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
right, okay, well, I don't understand that. What's going on
I liked all the little winks to the first one. There was a few little bits like
Yeah.
the
bit
music.
when
The music was really good as well.
when they played the exact, because I watched Halloween the day before,
Yeah.
and they played the exact same stings when the kids run into them.
Yeah, when the kids run into
the
them,
sound
that-
was exactly
yeah,
the same.
yeah. And there's bits where Laurie and him are kind of reversed in
Mhm.
this one, like when she falls out and you see her on the garden.
Yeah.
She just that's all.
Yeah,
And that bit with the horrible line, the light is the same.
yeah.
The line's horrible.
So this when she says Happy Halloween, do you think they were expecting like people at home to have like a positive reaction?
Yeah.
Or like, awesome,
Yeah.
and all high five and
They-
stuff.
they thought it was like,
maybe,
that
maybe
scene-
people in America did.
Yeah.
That scene in Scary Movie where she's like talking all the way through. They were like, woo!
Right, okay.
Shooting guns in the air and stuff.
Yeah. It's good though. It's alright.
Well, have you seen anything else, or is that?
I've watched absolutely loads because it's been ages, but I don't
It
know
has been
what
ages.
really to talk about.
Just your favourite part of it.
If you've got nothing,
I'll change the tone a little bit, but I've been watching. Have you seen Big Mouth on Netflix?
Yeah, great, man.
I've heard it's
So funny.
it's good, but
And
I
there's a
haven't
second
watched it.
season come out, and they've turned it up a notch.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, man.
It's definitely more
basically
intense than the first one, isn't it?
yeah, it's basically a cartoon about kids going through puberty, but it's totally not made for kids.
Mhm.
Are we the cartoon generation? Because kids these days watch like CGI cartoons, don't
You
they?
say that
Yeah.
one, but I was reading.
It can't be for kids.
No, I was reading an article. I think it was in the Metro or something. It was definitely in some kind of newspaper, and it said it's not obviously necessarily made for kids. It's like ratings wise, it's going to be like mature.
Yeah.
But they said that Big Mouth is providing better sex education for kids than
100%.
actual sex
Oh yeah,
education.
definitely.
Like in schools,
It does
it's
teach
real.
quite a lot.
It's very
to be
real
honest.
stuff.
Yeah. We've seen the bit where Andrew's
But then obviously there's talking pillows and stuff as well.
where Andrew's got a mustache.
Yeah.
Basically, all the kids when they hit puberty, they get a hormone monster
Mhm.
to them, and the hormone monster is like basically their inner thoughts, their dirty thoughts or
And
whatever.
it's always the funniest part of
Yeah,
the
it's
program.
great. We've seen it when his parents take his crappy little mustache off because they're embarrassed by it, and then his hormone monster shaves all of his hair off. It is so good.
It's
Man.
in solidarity to him. Like,
Yeah. It's well worth watching, mate. It's so funny,
yeah, it's definitely.
absolutely brilliant.
If I can find some time to pull myself away from Red.
They're like
Dead,
20 minutes long, like so it's perfect to sit and have your lunch too. As well.
Yeah, if you're gonna have a sandwich in between Red Dead missions or
That's
something.
exactly
Yeah.
what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Big mouth, back on Red Dead.
there are times when I'm like, what am I going to do now? Because
Yeah.
I guess I'll have to just eat it with my on the side of the sofa. X. Why won't you run faster, you stupid horse?
Alright.
That's all I'm going to do this week, I think.
Wonderful. Right, and we've got a minute left. Go for it.
What in terms of films?
Before we have to
Well,
stop.
mine was going to be Bohemian Rhapsody. I went to the Pixar estate. It's the first time I've been to the cinema in like
Did you have a
part
nice
of
time?
year. It was brilliant.
Oh,
Really enjoyed it.
that's
The
nice,
last
isn't
time I went to
it?
the cinema is when I seen A Quiet Place, and I mentioned
Oh,
that to you last time. So
Did you get nachos?
I ate beforehand.
Take bastard.
I don't. Well, it was a last.
Turn
minute
that
decision.
microphone off.
It was a last minute decision to go to the cinema. And last time I watched The Quiet Place, and it was quite awkward eating the nachos, so I think it's put it out a little bit.
I had some lasses behind me in Halloween chit chatting.
Oh,
beheaded.
no way.
They were,
No way.
I don't know, 16-year-old, 15-year-olds or something like that. It was annoying us. And I turned around, I was polite, but I said, will you please shut up? And immediately she went, who do you think you're talking to? And I was like, what the hell has that got to do with anything? What has that got to do with anything?
Well, I talk about rank or anything.
But then suddenly all the people around us started to join in and shut up.
Sure.
So I was like, alright, that's perfect.
I was like, whew.
I was like, yeah.
Okay, it's not a one-on-one
Otherwise
kind
I'm going to have to
argument,
back down from a child or
Yeah.
smack them about.
Yeah. You've got two options here:
Yeah.
violence or shrinking their shell.
I got some major issues with the generation beneath us.
I felt like it was just like
issues.
an automatic line, like, you know,
Yeah.
when, no matter what I would have said, that would have been our response.
Yeah.
To which it would have been like, you? To which she is not prepared for the return, because when she's at school, that works no problem.
Yeah.
But you would just be like, you?
With the same
Or
responsibility
if problem-
there.
That is the problem with
If
horror
you'd leant
films.
over and whispered in the air, would you like some of me popcorn? Same response.
Makes sense with that one.
Or if you're Brett Emma, it would just be like, who do you think you're talking to? Followed by just like the siren of an ambulance.
Follow Jack.
And Brett just being let out.
Like when
She asked us who I was talking to, I told her.
Screen's being torn down. There's a fire in the corner.
like when that guy tries to stop Father Jack from having a beer.
Yeah, pretty much.
Alright.
Right, well, let's get into some news, because I've got a lot of news. A lot of news.
Right,
Quiz
okay.
all night.
We've got a lot to do here. We've got a quiz. We've got my top 10.
And
Jesus.
I got 13 news stories.
What?
Are you ready?
When
Before
is
you-
Sonic coming out?
I look like you're invested. Sometime next year. I think it might be December.
Really?
We've got another full year of updates to give you. Right, okay, so you might have nothing to say about this, but I'm just going to kind of go through it rapid fire because there's so much happened obviously in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So the first thing is, they've announced there's going to be 3 Walking Dead TV movies
3.
centered around Rick Grimes.
In like
Same actors.
It's solo films.
solo
films,
films.
but on TV with Rick Grimes as the main character.
Starring with the same actor?
Same actor.
Based on...
Because he was going to quit, wasn't he? So this is his last.
So he's quit.
Final
He's
hurrah,
quit
hurrah.
the TV show, and he's going to have 3 movies based on what his character does after he quit the TV show.
3 made-for-TV movies, though.
Yeah, but
What-
apparently they're going to be big. They're going to spend millions of dollars. They're going to
Right.
be big budget, but they're going to be on TV.
Okay.
So he's quit the TV show, but he's doing the movies.
Yes.
So he's went and went, right, I don't want to do the TV show anymore.
Apparently, yeah.
Give us
They
some
were
film.
saying a few years ago. In fact, he was talking about what he wanted to do when he left, and in that discussion, it's turned into I wanted to do this, this, and this, rather than just being like.
So are they going miles off from the comics?
Yeah,
now?
so this will be
This is
totally original.
Okay.
I'm really surprised. The thing that's surprising is the made-for-TV part. Since when you never see dedicated made-for-TV films. If you see a
No.
made-for-TV film, it's because it's a failed made-for-cinema film.
Yeah.
You know, but if they decide to do 3 made-for-TV
They used to do that,
movies-
though, didn't they? They used to.
Oh,
do
they
it.
used to,
I've
but
never
they don't
seen
anymore.
one.
Yeah, I mean, even like the Veronica Mars, that's going that went into the cinema.
Yeah.
The Deadwood film, that's going into the cinema.
Mm.
So there's it's.
I'm not interested in the slightest. The
Well,
TV show
no.
went to so much to pot that I'm not bothered.
I
Well,
agree.
that's the thing,
And,
they might get on track with the movies.
well, and millions of people agree because the ratings have gone from like 20 million people in America to like close to like single digits. 9 million people still watching it.
9
Yeah. It's like it's
9 at the most.
if you've got like 9 million people for a
Mine's
show
the
would be
best
considered
single
successful,
thing,
but
didn't it?
if you've lost 50% of your audience,
Yeah.
and then you're going to be like, right, let's spend $60 million making 3 movies for a TV show that no one watches anymore. I mean, you could do that first film, and then the show could get cancelled. And you're like,
Honestly,
oh.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was more than 50% of the viewers they lost, because I know loads of people at work and that used to always talk about it every day. Like if it had been on the night before, they'll all be talking about it. But I think one of them out of all of them still watches it.
Greedy producers. That's what ruined it, mate.
Yeah.
Greedy producers.
Just like you, Dan.
That's me. Hello.
You'd ruined it.
Well, speaking of ruining things, how about
Speaking of ruined thing?
yeah? I've got
Spinach.
I've got spinach in my
Get on with it.
Breaking Bad movie
Yes, I read about this today.
set after the final episode of Breaking Bad.
Cinema movie.
And it's still, apparently from what I've seen, Bryan Cranston has acknowledged that it's a cinema movie, yeah. But he's
Time delay.
he hasn't seen a script for it, so it's still in question whether he's even going to be in the film or whether you want to see Walter White at all.
Because obviously they could arguably just say, do that. You know, in that Scarface video game where they were like, oh yeah, this happened, but miraculously he was all right.
Yeah, Scarface, the world is yours.
Yeah, he got shot 14 times, but he's all right. He had enough cocaine in him to fight off the infection, and he's ready to go.
I'm not sure if that's how cocaine works.
Pushes bullets out, doesn't it?
Well, I've been taking it for years, so I've never been shot once. So yeah, not really interested, to be fair, in something like that. Especially if it's not going to be, if it's going to be like Aaron Paul running around dealing with the aftermath.
I mean, everything to do with that program, I've just absolutely loved. I followed that at like every single episode, and then I've watched every single episode of Better Call Saul.
Enough to go to the cinema, though.
Absolutely.
Well, you haven't been for a year.
I have. I went last week. Actually,
you know what I meant. You know what I meant.
I don't know what you mean, Dan. No, this is enough to get us to the cinema. Absolutely.
I don't know what it is about Breaking Bad because I started watching it when the first season just came out, and I loved the first one. Second one
dip.
pied us off a bit,
Yeah.
so I stopped and I didn't. And then I, got into the hype and I thought, right, okay, it's got to be good. So I stuck it out, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
But I don't think back on it as fondly as I think back on some other TV shows. Like you absolutely love it, and that makes you dead excited. It doesn't really to me, even though I've really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Like the end of it, the climax was all brilliant. But I don't know why I don't get as excited.
Did you watch
as other
Better Call
people
Saul
do.
though?
Nah,
That's
I watched
probably
the first one.
Because I watched Better Call Saul, and it's made us crave it, like him getting back to the point where he goes back to Albuquerque or wherever it is. I'm dying for that to happen. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. I think I would definitely recommend Better Call Saul as well, though.
I've seen the first season, I think.
Yeah, it gets much better.
Does it?
Yeah.
How many is it now?
3.
3.
Oh, is it 4? Possibly 4.
Alrighty then.
Mm-hmm.
So
Just
next
sit and
up,
wait, don't you?
It's dead air, that. It's
I can't cut it. It's not going out live. Okay, let's get into a big one. Boys, it's Henry Cavill. He's back.
Mate, man.
What did we think of the reveal?
The little video that you showed her.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely hated it, mate. It's obvious, isn't it? What was that wig about, man? What is that? Why is it so fluffy?
You think for such like an iconic character, they put some effort into it, man. Like he looks like he's been in makeup for 20 minutes.
Yeah, he looks like he's got a shoddy Halloween wig on. It's way too long. He looks nothing. It's awful. I know we've spoken a lot about him, but hasn't got the right look for it at all. He doesn't look like an outcast on the side of society doing bounties on.
He doesn't look.
He just looks like a Prince Charming with a white flipping daft wig on it.
He doesn't look
and
intimidating.
His chiseled flipping jaw.
He doesn't look like he could be taking down big monsters and shit. You know?
No, it's like he's wooing princesses.
Yeah.
That's right, wooing.
Pitching woo.
Hate it even more, Dan. Yes, that's me. No, that's right.
I'm glad. Well, maybe this will make you feel better. Chris has now been cast.
Okay.
And she's played by Anna Schaffer, who played Ruby on Hollyoaks. That's Tris.
Alright, okay.
So again, how do you feel about...
I've got no opinion on
So,
it at all.
Speechless. Absolutely speechless.
And like the thing is with it, like, she was in Harry Potter and stuff like that, but she wasn't really a main character. She is most famous for being in Hollyoaks. Which is
saying something.
And there are people who've been in Hollyoaks and then like turned up in like Game of Thrones, and then I know someone from that has managed to like wangle our way into the Fast and Furious.
I know,
but that's still not great acting.
I know we've probably spoke about this before, but I can't remember the answer to it. Does the person who's on board to make this, the lady, is she a fan of the games or a fan of the books?
I think it's the books.
The source material is the books, like.
I think they're not. I think they're pretty much ignoring the games entirely. It seems to be now.
But you'd hope that the games were pretty close to the books anyway.
Well, you would think
Well,
that
that's hard for a fan of the game who's never read the books.
I think it's
there might be loads of people who love the books who are over the moon with all this stuff.
It might be like set design and visually it will look like the games, but the characters and all that.
Well, he doesn't look like the games.
Well, we know that.
It actually doesn't look that different to the first game.
Blue.
then again, he was about 7 pixels in the first game, so it's hard to tell.
It was an 8-bit game.
Are you saying Henry Cavill's that boring looks like 7 pixels?
Pretty much. That's yeah. I was sliding in there quite subliminally.
1 pixel for that stupid dimple on his chin. It's
And
gonna knock
then
me out one day, isn't he?
he's just gonna bump into him.
Harry's a
in
really
match.
nice guy as well.
Oh, I'm sure he's a lovely person. He's just he keeps getting cast in these roles that he's just not right for.
I'm sure he's a lovely, lovely bellend.
He was totally right for Superman. Anyway, did it 1,000 times.
Yep. Another
Fuck you, Harry Potter.
Another quick one. Again, you probably have nothing to say about this, but
You said that every time, and we've
because every time you surprise us more. But the
That's a nice figure to say.
there's the Harley Quinn movie's coming out, and Ewan McGregor has been cast as the villain, who is a gangster who wears a black mask of a skull, and he's called Black Mask.
I've heard of Black Mask. You not heard of Black Mask?
Who plays Harley?
I know Black Mask, but I don't know how hardcore you guys are into comics.
He was in one of the Batman. Was it Origins?
He's the villain in Origins. He's the guy who puts the is it $1 million?
Yeah.
He puts the bounty on
he?
Batman. Yeah, and then all the
Is that
criminals.
not that doctor guy?
No, that's in the other ones. That's City. In Origins, it's Black Mask because it's Christmas.
Isn't Black Mask actually the Joker in Origins?
It could be, but he's not in the comics.
Origins is the only ones I haven't played. The only one I haven't played. Sorry.
That's a shame.
Batman Oranges.
But Ewan McGregor getting
Black Mask in Batman Origins.
Do we rate Ewan McGregor as an actor, or
I think he's quite good.
yeah? What about Ewan McGregor in a Obi-Wan Kenobi solo film? Any interest in that?
I thought you were about to lead that into actually being a thing.
Is that a thing?
It's a big rumor.
Really?
But after what happened with the solo, it's been a bit skew-whiffy.
Why?
Right.
Did they not like Solo?
But didn't make enough money.
Was this part of your news?
I thought
or
it
is
was
it
quite
still...
well received.
No, Solo cost about $250 million to make, and it only made about 300 million.
But it was great though.
But it's all because Star Wars regular series made $1 billion. Rogue One made
Do you think it's because there's too much of it?
That's what they said.
I think it's down to advertising. He didn't really, it's like obviously every other one's come out in December, including the first Star Wars story, and then this one they're releasing in the middle of summer, not giving it very much advertising at all. Really, I didn't know it was out until it was out.
Yeah, it feels like
I think people get sick if there's too much of something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it's the same with the gaming world. You look at the Assassin's Creed. Yeah, they're supposed to have got so much better with the past two, the Egyptian one, the Greek one.
But I bet there's
I'm
still
not
got a
playing it because
fraction.
there's one every single year.
'Cause
You
they
look at
took
Red Dead. You know,
but
it's been
Assassin's
years.
Creed took a break, didn't they? They took a few years out.
Yeah.
Took 1 year, mate.
Well, wasn't that one? Because they didn't have a thing where they had like 3 or 4 like ones based around being a pirate, or you could go on the ship. Then they had multiples in like Victorian England, and then they're like, well, we're gonna take a year off and actually do something new.
Yeah, they did the pirate one, then the French Revolution, then they did the Industrial Revolution in England, then they had a year off, but then they did.
I feel like
Greek
they all
Egypt.
looked the same
Or
though.
Egypt.
And yeah, they did until the Egypt one. They've changed it, and apparently it is really good. But I'm not interested because it comes out that often.
Yeah,
You know, I'm a bit like I'm sick of it. Whereas if someone like say God of War 4 came out, it's been years. Everyone was buzzing for it. It's done, but it's something.
yeah.
So I was
was the same when the first one came out. It had been ages. It made an absolute killer. Now we've had Rogue One, we've had 2 of the main storyline and Solo. It's too much in it.
Kind of, except that obviously the quality is kind of going up and down a lot here, and I thought that Solo was the best one recently. Rogue One and Solo have both been brilliant.
I agree with that. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's a real shame. They probably should have just stuck to December.
Yeah, I thought that.
They did want to do it in May.
People have traditions as well. They go in December. They saw when last year they go with the same people. I think it would have been great.
Because the tradition is supposed to release them in May, but they missed it for episode 7, and then they missed it for Rogue One because of reshoots, and then they decided to leave it in December, but then left it for Han Solo, even though Han Solo was famously having a terrible production. So I think so. Rather than getting a Star Wars film every year, now you're going to get one Star Wars film every couple of years, but it might not always be the main thing, the main universe. Plus, Rian Johnson is doing his own separate universe, and then you've got a TV show starting up. So
right, okay. I was about to say also it's not going to get oversaturated, and then you add those other two things in there.
yeah, I think that what they're trying to do is they're trying to be like watch it at home and then go and see a cinema. Go and see a film, and then like maybe do a TV show one year and a film the next year, rather than go out to the cinema December, May, because it's just Marvel have cracked it because they seem to be able to release 2 films because their idea is they release an original film and a sequel. So you've got, if the first film did well, you'll go back and see the sequel, but obviously, and then they do an original film so that people will be like, well, I'll go and see this because Marvel have got such a good track record. I might like this. So they've kind of cracked the code somehow. But it leads into the next one because the Boba Fett movie that was going to happen has been scrapped. And that was going to be all
Is
about...
that because of Solo bombing?
Yes. Yeah. It was going to be all about the bounty hunters, and it was going to be all of the bounty hunters from Empire Strikes Back were going to be in it and all that stuff, and it's just been totally wiped.
That seems a shame.
Great. Next up, Marvel TV shows. So Disney are making their own version of Netflix, and they're going to have a Scarlet Witch and Vision TV show and a Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show.
Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's the worst.
I've got no interest in any of those, man.
Nah, me neither.
Like even like Daredevil, it did pique me interest, but it wasn't enough to make us watch 3 seasons. None of those.
Yeah. And it's also like it's Disney, so it's going to be PG, 12 at most.
No, I feel that sounds very DC like, to be honest.
Yeah. Next up, Pirates of the Caribbean is getting rebooted.
Oh god.
Yeah, and Johnny Depp's no longer in it.
And with the writers of Deadpool are doing it.
Rebooted.
Yeah. So again, the question is, are they going to reboot it and just recast Jack Sparrow as someone else, or are they going to reboot it and be like everything that you saw never happened? That's the only question I've got.
Or they're just going to make a new story in that world.
No, well, I mean they could be, but they are effectively saying we're gonna, from this point forward, those stories are now finished. We're never gonna ever go back dip into that well.
It's pretty amazing that they can have 2 like franchises, like film franchises, out of a ride. It was a ride before it was a film, and now it's 2. It's pretty crazy that you'd think if they want to make a pirate film, make a pirate film. You don't have to all be Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. Yet no.
Suppose if you attach the label to it, and it's already got a following.
Yeah. So Halo is getting a TV show, and
Is this bollocks?
it is.
Someone says this every year,
and it's
some guy in the internet's going, "I'm going to do it again."
And it's getting made by Showtime, and they are currently looking to cast someone as Master Chief, who is a Spartan-like warrior of large build.
I'll do that.
They're not fully sure if they're gonna leave the face covered and then just make it like a voiceover only. But apparently they're looking to cast Master Chief.
My vote is yes, do that.
Because Master Chief is the main character. Then there's a Dr. Catherine Halsey. She's from Halo Reach, Halo 4 and Halo 5. And then there's an original character called Jenny, who will be played by an Asian woman between 18 and 20. No premiere date as of yet, but production should begin this coming June in Budapest.
Well, it sounds like it actually might be a thing.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Did you ever actually see what's he called again, the main guy?
Master Chief.
Master Chief. Did you ever see his face?
I don't think so.
No, it's like a Judge Dredd thing.
Right.
Like you never see the face.
Right.
I think that's why
I think there was a like a brief video of him getting trained as a kid in one of them.
Like as a guy. Okay.
Yeah.
So he is actually just a human being. He just wears a suit all day.
Yeah, he's like a super soldier.
Right.
So they'll probably just pick someone with like a really good voice.
But then again, if you're doing a film of it, surely you're going to have to see other aspects of his life when he when he's chatting to people, having his dinner. He can't always be wearing that.
Shove a spoon into his mask.
Well, I would guess
Open the bottom.
quickly put it back down.
Well, look at me.
If it's a TV show, they might just focus on like
other characters,
people in like whatever the war room or whatever,
the campaigns,
discussing it, and then every time there's an action scene, it cuts back to Master Chief, and he's just destroying things.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, Judge Dredd manages.
Yeah,
he certainly does.
But you see the bottom of Judge Dredd's face, you can still,
eat. It's the main problem. How does he eat?
How does he?
How does he eat? Answer these questions.
People at Comic Con and stuff. How does he eat?
Okay, Legend of Zelda is being adapted for television,
Is it?
and it will be made by Andy Shankar, who makes the Castlevania cartoon TV show for Netflix.
Is it going to
Is it a
star a
cartoon?
small child?
We do not know if it is a cartoon or live action, but it is definitely coming to television.
I'd be interested if it was a cartoon.
It seems more likely to be cartoon.
My guess would be that,
If it's him doing it.
because it'll be much cheaper. And then if people really love it, they could be like, listen, we could
Well, I
adapt
would be
this.
interested if it was a cartoon. I don't think I would if it was live action.
But we're going to find out.
Because that's the thing. Is Zelda? It's such a loved kind of thing.
Yeah.
That I think if they made a live action of it,
He hard dropped a little when he mentioned it.
it would put a kind of an image on it that you don't necessarily want, wouldn't it?
Link doesn't really have a voice either in
No.
any games.
he has a little...
Fairy. Like an ocarina.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Yeah,
a little
and there you go.
fairy.
Yeah. So I wonder if they'll...
Put him up.
But is it how old is he actually supposed to be? Is he not supposed to be like a...
He's all different ages, isn't he?
In the newest one, in the Breath of the Wild, he's a descendant. I think he's a descendant of this hero. So they're kind of like not directly linked, but
Oh, right, okay.
so he's not
different.
Link anymore.
he is. But I don't think they're really linked apart from Ocarina and Majora's Mask.
The word Link's getting used a lot. In this.
But I think it's
Is
a
it kind of
I think
like
it's
a-
a different Link in Wind Waker. It's a different world in Wind Waker.
Is that
And
the
then
Metal Gear Solid kind of like all clones of Link, basically? Or
I think in the newest one, he was a descendant of the great hero Link. So I think
Right.
they're supposed to be descendants of each other in different kind of worlds.
They're almost like they're treating them like their books. Like
not really.
set in
They're
the
not
world
really,
of whatever.
The games aren't really linked at all. They just have.
Yeah. I think I think you're right. I feel like only certain ones. I mean, like maybe the ones on the N64 were linked, and then the ones on the Game Boy might have been linked. But other than that, it's all separate
You
stuff.
don't, yeah, it's just each game stands on its own,
Yeah.
but similarities happen. Characters reappear.
Mhm.
You know,
Link.
he's in it.
Link's linked.
Zelda as well. She's probably.
Oh
there.
yeah, she must be in it.
Link is linked to the descendants of
Does he?
Link.
Always, but he must. Always, does he always have the same villain, or is it different-
No.
different?
It's
different-
Ganondorf mostly, but
mostly.
but it was Ganon in the last one, and it was School Kid in Majora's Mask.
Really
Ganon's not even in it, I don't think.
Hmm.
And then the last story we've got is the Call of Duty.
That couldn't have been 13 stories.
We've blasted through them.
Wow.
It took ages, Brett. We on about.
I've been 13 though.
Hmm?
We've spent 10 minutes on each one.
So the Call of Duty movie
Oh yes.
begins shooting next spring under Stefano Salima, who made Sicario 2.
Which is out now, and I still haven't watched it.
Oh yeah, I saw it in the shop. It's being written by Kieran Fitzgerald, who wrote Snowden for Oliver Stone. And according to Fitzgerald, first casting meetings have already taken place, and the movie's producers are currently in the process of picking up the casting members. The writer also revealed that the film is expected to begin shooting next spring, and confirmed eyeing a 2020 or 2021 launch window, and that several people from the video game studio Blizzard are actually on board to watch over the production of the movie.
Blizzard aren't even really linked to
Blizzard.
Treyarch or...
It's Activision Blizzard Studios,
Ah,
so they must
it's
be
a different thing.
they must be the umbrella or
Totally
something.
different.
Right,
thing.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I still have no interest in this. It just sounds like a money maker to me.
Yes, me too.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. That's it. That's all 13.
So next segment, we're gonna have Dave's quiz or my
What should we
top
do?
10.
Should we do the top 10? Blast through the top 10?
Yeah, can do. So obviously, that the PS1 reboot thing that we were talking about the other week has came out now. So this is a little bit pointless, but I feel like Dave got to do it, and I want to. So you know,
Do it then, mate.
yeah.
As is you right.
Did you
None
put
of these.
Did you
would-
put the Jurassic Park fighting game in there?
Absolutely not. I mean, half of these definitely wouldn't even have been considered to be put
Yeah,
on
not,
it in
not
the
even
slightest.
slightly.
But
This is your list.
it's my wish list
Alright, I'm
in an
excited.
ideal world.
Here we go.
Number
If you're
10,
wearing pants, hold on to them.
Number 10,
10.
what? So is this 10?
10 being number 1 is
Is your favourite,
my
favourite.
yeah.
Okay.
Aye. So number 10,
That's disappointing. I thought he was going to go the other way.
Earthworm Jim 2.
I like that.
It was great.
It was very good.
I was reading something the other day, and something was like the new whatever game or something was getting made by this guy whose credits include Earthworm Jim, the video game. And I was like, why would you put that on your like?
Why wouldn't you?
You'll know me from Earthworm Jim 2.
They were great games. The second one in particular was brilliant. I loved it. It was dead funny and also just really fun.
I remember I beat that one 3 or 4 times because I think if you beat it a certain number of times, you unlocked something.
Yeah.
But this was pre-internet, so I could have been wrong in just playing it over and over again.
It's a great idea.
If someone's told you that's like, well, that's wrong. Right
in the back of a little, and you know, they used to get the mini books with like the unofficial PlayStation magazine. It must be true. It's unofficial.
So that one, I had 2 favourite levels. That was Heck, which had that mad music in the background constantly and got a little bit annoying, but the level itself was pretty good. And also For Pete's Sake, where, do you know the little dog, which is his friend, goes crazy and chases after him as the big monster?
Yes, I do sort of remember that.
Yeah,
oh, God,
probably got to run away. That's the whole thing, is running away from him in that level. Number 9, Dave Mirra's Pro BMX. I liked me.
Oh, is it the Triple X?
No, that's BMX Triple X. I'm aware of that. But it didn't make it into top
I think
10.
that might be PS2 to be fair.
Yeah, I think it is
wrong,
actually.
yeah.
You're probably right.
I'm not even going to ask.
It was mental.
It was like Dave Mirra's Pro BMX. It was made by the same people, I think, but it just had in between just shots of women taking their tops off. Just like you would unlock videos and it would just do that, which is really weird for a PlayStation.
I wonder
game.
if Dave Mirra knew. Because Tony Hawk was obviously like, no way, you're not doing that in my game.
Yeah,
Dave Mirra was like, I'll do it.
Well, that's the thing is that
sounds sexy.
Basically, Dave Mirra's was like, because obviously in terms of skating games, you had Tony Hawk's, which is the dominant one.
Yeah.
In terms of, but then you had like Thrasher, which is
there was other ones, wasn't there?
Yeah. But then in terms of BMX games,
wasn't that one just called Skate?
That was for the Xbox 360 when that came out though.
I'm way off.
That was like much later.
I'm way off.
So you had Tony Hawk's and you had Thrasher Skate and Destroy, which is less famous but much more fun.
Mm-hmm.
And
this Simpsons one.
That was awful. Was it? Yeah, it was really, really bad. And then obviously in terms of the BMX world, you had Matt Hoffman's was the polished kind of Tony Hawk's of the BMX world. And Dave Mirra's was the less popular, more fun one.
Cool.
Number 8, Tekken 3. Not really much else to be said.
Nothing there.
Obviously.
Number 7, Grand Theft Auto and Grand Theft Auto London. I put that into one. Because it was based on expansion, wasn't it? I had Grand Theft Auto for Grand Theft Auto London to work.
Did you?
Yeah, you put the Grand Theft Auto London disc in and then it said, please insert GTA, so you had to put the Grand Theft Auto disc in.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Seems a bit mad. It's basically taking the money off you, isn't it? A very early kind of time to be just...
That's not how an expansion works.
I don't know.
That's not how DLC works, Rockstar. What the hell?
This is apparently how a PS1 expansion works.
I think you're talking out your arse.
You're entitled to your opinion.
Oh, my chest.
However wrong it is. Number 6, MDK. So I remember
was
MDK.
that the weird black thing?
Yeah, with the big like...
It looked like a xenomorph, but it wasn't.
Yeah. Aye.
It's a suit though, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Is it like a run and gun thing?
It's one of the first like proper 3D games I remember, where it's like the camera's behind you, and you're running around everywhere, but then he took the head off him and used it as like a sniper rifle and stuff, and it was one of the first games where it did like a first person sniper, but it was actually really good.
I feel like it was all over like the backs of magazines back then because it was like an apocalypse thing, and this guy in this metal suit, and it had like a crazy name that didn't make any sense when you were just like looking at the poster, but it was like games like that and like Loaded and stuff like that all came out at the same time.
But this one, the reason I loved it so much is because it just how shiny and how great it looked. It looked brilliant for how old it is.
I've never even heard of it. It doesn't look familiar at all.
Nah. It was great. I really enjoyed it, mate.
Yeah, that's
I this kind of list. It was. I found it really hard to pick my best 10. So what I really did was choose the 10 that I think took up most of my time. I spent a lot of time on MDK.
That's better than what I did, really. Yeah.
So number 5, Thrasher Skate and Destroy. Again, nothing what we said. Number 4. Now it's proper recognisable territory.
Nice. Sold out.
Yeah. I've went through all my phase.
Childhood Brett.
Number 4, Tomb Raider 2.
Class.
Number 3, Resident Evil 2.
Class.
Number 2, Metal Gear Solid.
Brilliant.
Number 1, Final Fantasy 7.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well done, mate. Very good.
Thank you very much.
I
I feel like obviously the
I like
people at PlayStation have obviously there is a level of they know what people want. Is it Crash Bandicoot 3 on the thing? Did I read that? On the classic
I
thing?
don't know, mate. Don't know.
Crash Bandicoot 3, it's a strange one to pick that.
I feel like there's some of them where they've just they've nailed it, they've went like, oh, a Crash Bandicoot, a Metal Gear Solid, one of the Final Fantasies, but then they've went like I don't really care about racing games at all, and if I was,
me neither.
I'd probably think Gran Turismo would be the first thing that come into my mind.
Yeah.
Not Ridge Racer.
Yeah.
So that's kind of odd, but maybe it could be like if
Ridge Racer was bad quality even then. I thought Ridge Racer
but
was
if
terrible.
Ridge Racer was huge in Japan, they might be like, well, here's we're trying to hit all three markets at the same time, maybe. But all right then, let's get into a quiz.
Sounds good.
Just on the way over here, I did originally make it so that you could draw, but I've changed the rules, so you can't.
Damn right.
It's unlikely that you will. I heard this quiz basically on another podcast, and I totally changed it. It's a football podcast, and I changed it for movies.
Okay.
Let's do it.
It's called Dave's Collaboration Auction Quiz.
Oh.
Basically, what's going to happen is I'm going to say a particular subject and tell you how many possible answers there are for that.
Right.
And then whoever goes first, we'll determine in a second, has to say off the top of the head without thinking for too long how many of them answers they think they can name. Yeah. So say there's 10 available, and you think you can name 4.
Right.
Quickly, you say, right, I've got 4. Then the other person can say, right, well, I can name 5. Or
So obviously that could be bravado. They
Yeah.
could say I can
Oh,
do
yeah.
5.
Or-
This isn't that national lottery show, isn't it? In it, win it.
don't know.
There's that. I've
But
never
it-
seen that.
Yeah.
But if he says 5, then the other person can say 6.
Yeah.
But it basically
name it.
ends, where the person says, right, no, I can't do more than that. You name it, but you're going to go for, say you want to name 5. If you get them, you get 5 points.
Mhm.
If you don't get 5, the other person gets 5 points.
Right,
At the
okay.
end, whoever
Cool.
wins.
Does it make sense?
So what kind of sweets do I win?
Let's just do it and we'll find out. At the
Well,
end of
that's,
it.
I like surprises.
Just do a quick rock paper scissors, see who goes first, so it's fair, right?
Okay. Do 3 and then.
Just quick, it's on a podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But-
Sunny Itchy.
For God's sake.
Sunny Itchy.
Yeah.
So Brett's first, right? So it's a collaboration quiz. So I've done it on filmmakers with collaboration with famous actors that they do, right?
Oh god.
Okay.
And as
I'm already out.
it goes on, it gets harder.
I wish I wasn't first now.
So you're first, and it's easier.
I wish
as
I-
in, so the
I
first
wish I
one
wasn't
you've got-
born now.
So for this category, there is 6 options,
Oh Jesus.
Okay, right, okay.
and it is Quentin Tarantino and Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, right.
How many do you think you can name? Quickly, don't have too much
Oh,
time.
okay. I'm playing a safe 3.
3. Dan, do you think
Oh
you
shit.
can do 4?
I was gonna say.
Quick, can you do 4 or not?
Nah.
You want him to try and do 3?
He'll get the 3, but I can't think of a 4th. I can think of a 4th one, but I don't. It's not Tarantino. Oh, hang on. Do you mean like Tarantino directed?
This
Yeah.
took too long.
Yeah, because I know.
Right, then Brett, you got to do your 3.
Right, okay.
So there's 6 possible films he did with Quentin Tarantino.
I could definitely do
together.
3 quite easily. I could have done more, to be honest. I'm glad I played it safe.
Done the bottle, that there.
No, because I can only think of I can think of 2, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that he doesn't
The thing
direct
is, once
them.
I name my 3, I bet you can name more.
I've got 3 straight away.
Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Hateful Eight.
There you go. Got
See,
3
I
points.
couldn't remember if he directed Jackie Brown or just wrote it.
I directed it, yeah.
Because my 4 was Inglourious Bastards because he did the voiceover.
Of course he did.
Hateful Eight, and then it was Jackie Brown, but I just did not
Ah,
know if
yeah.
I didn't know if it was a true romance scenario.
Would you
or
like to
just-
know
No,
the other
that
ones?
was part of his actual...
Well, it's Inglourious Bastards because he did the voiceover.
Correct.
Hateful Eight,
Correct.
and then what?
Pulp Fiction, obviously.
What's the
Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, you said.
Pulp Fiction,
So there's
Jackie
2
Brown.
Django
Four.
Unchained?
Django Unchained. There's 1 more.
Change 5.
Oh, there's another one.
Um,
He's not in Reservoir Dogs. Yeah, what's the one between Jackie Brown?
It's difficult, this one.
He's not in 4 Rooms. Because that was
You
the.
can probably cut this down if it's too much thinking time as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure.
it's not in true. Oh, you only written
Well,
true
yeah,
romance,
he didn't
didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
that's
Yeah,
weird.
so these are all that the filmmakers directed, yeah.
Is he in Reservoir Dogs?
No,
Nope.
he's not in Reservoir Dogs for sure. I wonder what it is.
Well, I'll tell you.
No, don't.
I know, but yeah, almost
Just leave it there. Next question, please.
Do you want to know?
Hmm?
Do you want to know?
Go on then.
He's in Kill Bill Volume 2.
Oh, Kill
sugar.
Bill. I never.
Plays
You know,
Rufus, the piano player at the wedding.
I really
Ah,
don't.
man.
I really don't associate Kill Bill with like
That's almost because he doesn't as well though. He like in Tarantino's kind of world that he's created. Kill Bill is the films that they watch in his movies, if you know what I mean. So Kill Bill is the next level of fiction.
Yeah.
In his films.
Because I was going to say, what's that film that plugs the gap that we're talking about either side? Weird.
Of course.
Weird how you don't think about that.
Definitely.
So far you're on none, Dan, and Brett's on 3 points.
That's fine.
I have a possible 6 in that round, though, so it's not bad.
So do we need to get to 5 points, did you say?
No, it's just out of the whole, there's 6 categories altogether. And
right.
at the end, whoever's got the most wins. So the next one,
if he used to say a number and didn't get it, I would get 5 points.
Yeah.
That's what you said, yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, you wouldn't get the 5, you get how many he couldn't get.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if he said 3, couldn't do it, you'd get 3.
So if I was stupid and went 10 and got a 9, you'd get all 10 points because I only got 9.
Yes.
Wicked.
So the next one's you, Dan, and there's another small one, possible 5 films.
Jesus Christ.
John Carpenter and Kurt Russell.
Oh.
3.
Can you do 4, Brett?
Yes.
Can you do 5? This
No.
is the 5th.
No.
4 it is.
Yeah, okay. Escape from LA.
Yeah.
Escape from New York.
Yeah.
The Thing.
Yeah.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Very good, mate.
I never think of Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, I know. That was the last one I
I've
thought
never
of.
ever associated that in a million years as John Carpenter. I always think of it as a Kurt Russell film.
Don't worry, you can still pull it out of the bag, mate. Don't worry.
But the thing is, though, if you think of a Kurt Russell film, it's very likely that it's also going to be a John Carpenter film.
Yeah.
Like,
The last one was a
True.
film that they did, which you won't have heard, because I didn't do it from here,
Yeah.
called Elvis, that they did, a biopic about Elvis they did together.
What?
Right.
Yes, mate. Yes, mate, exactly.
I feel like that's on like a list of like what's the worst film John Carpenter's ever made? What's the worst film Kurt Russell's ever made?
What's one of the worst films ever made?
The next one's for you to start with, Brett, and it's got 8 possible options.
Oh,
Wow.
Jesus, it's even worse.
Tim
Sugar.
Burton and Johnny Depp.
Oh.
Oh my god.
I'm going to say 4.
4. Dan, can you do 5?
I can't even think of Tim Burton films right now.
No.
I'm not. No way.
Are you going to lose if you don't try?
I'm honestly, I'm going to tell you, there's no point because I can't think of Tim Burton films. I can think of all of his early stuff before he works with Johnny.
Yeah.
So what was it you
I
said?
haven't
4?
got a clue.
I said 4.
You're not going to do 5? You're going to let him go for the points again?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Go on, Brett.
Tim Burton films, I'll name you 15 off the bat, but with Johnny Depp, I've got no. I haven't got a
I'm doing all the
Scooby.
work here, man.
Stop guessing so high. Guess
Okay.
1. If you guess 1, I'll guess 2.
I'm not giving you the point. Right, Nightmare Before Christmas.
No.
What?
And he's out!
Yeah, you're out.
Oh, no, I'm thinking
Yeah, sorry, I should have mentioned that if you get one wrong, you can't just go through his films. So
Oh, man.
I think you made that anyway. So
Henry Selick directed.
so you've
Nightmare
got
Before
4
Christmas.
points.
I was
then,
thinking of...
And Johnny Depp's not in it either.
No, I know. I was thinking of Corpse Bride.
Corpse Bride.
which is there.
I mean, my first thought was Edward Scissorhands,
Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Then I remembered Corpse Bride.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it.
Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
And
Willy Wonka.
Buddy... Ichabod Crane.
Sweeney Todd.
Yeah. what-
Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow, yeah.
So it's once you start going, they
Yeah.
all start coming
So
through.
the
Big-
only,
is
so
he
you're
in-
missing 2.
Is he
missing
in
2.
Big Eyes? Or Big Fish?
What's that stupid one where you made with the daft name again?
The latest one.
One of the latest ones.
Yeah. Play the Vampire.
Oh Christ!
That's not the one I was thinking of. But
oh
yeah.
my God! What is that?
Dark
is that Dark
Bodies?
Shadows?
Dark
Dark
Shadows.
Shadows, yeah.
Yeah.
Dark-
And there's
Dark
one more,
Bodies.
which was the second one you made after. You made it after Edward Scissorhands. It's a bit of a
It's not.
obscure one.
It's an Naughty 40 one.
Oh, is it Crybaby?
It's called Ed Wood.
Oh yes.
yeah.
Ed Wood. I've seen it. I can't remember.
Again, it's another one of those things where you just do not associate with like Johnny
Yeah.
Depp in that film,
Yeah.
even though he's the main star.
Yeah.
So Brett's currently on 7 points and Dan's on 4.
Right,
And I've done.
I gave that
Nothing
away.
for
And
no
I've
work.
done nothing.
So the next one, you get to stop, Dan.
I don't like this game. It scares me.
8 possibles again.
Oh God.
Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro.
Oh.
And Robert De Niro.
Come on, how many?
If it said
Gotta gamble on
if it said DiCaprio, it would have been different. But you've said De Niro.
Just gamble on it. What
Yeah.
can you do? 3, 4, 5.
I'll go for 4.
4.
Can you do 5? Brett, can you do 5?
No.
No.
I don't think I can do 4. Well, there's Raging Bull.
Correct.
Then there's oh, I know you said De Niro, didn't you? That's not De Niro.
Richard Bullis.
By the way, if you say one wrong,
So I don't really. I think another one. I don't associate Robert De Niro with Martin Scorsese, even though obviously he's been in a lot of
I can
films with
think
him.
of 3. But,
Is he? Oh no, that's
there's
Liam.
2 more very, very famous ones.
Well, I'm not. Well, I want to say my thinking out loud so I can let you know that I'm thinking of films. But obviously, I don't want to get caught out. But I kind of think that's the only one I can think of.
I thought you'd be really good at this, though.
Well, because I'm thinking like Mean Streets, but that's not him. I'm thinking
Yes,
The Departed, but that's not. Is he in Mean Streets?
Yes.
Oh, but that's Harvey Keitel. That's all I think of Harvey Keitel in Mean Streets.
He's
I don't
in
think
it, but
of De Niro.
he's not like the
And then I'm thinking, is he in?
It was his first
Is
one
he
they did
in
together.
The Gangs of New York? And I'm like, well, he's not in The Gangs of New York.
Don't go through them and get like.
Oh no, because I've already lost
he
the point.
says, yeah,
I've
he's
already
in it.
lost the point. Because I'm saying like, was he DiCaprio's dad? I'm like, no, that's Liam Neeson. Because famously, Liam Neeson's in that for like 10 minutes.
Right.
And
You're
then
ruining the game by doing it like this. You know?
and then I'm like, is he in The Departed? And he's like, he's not in The Departed. Because I was straight away, it's like Departed. I was like,
Still doing it.
that's Robert De Niro. And I don't think he's in The Aviator, and I don't think he's in
He's
Shutter
in,
Island.
he's
These are
in-
all DiCaprio films I'm naming.
Goodfellas. You need to be thinking older. Is the thing.
Well,
He did loads of work with De Niro before he did work with DiCaprio.
Yeah, he moved on from De
yeah.
Niro to DiCaprio. Is the thing. So you need to be thinking
Yeah.
before DiCaprio's
yeah,
era.
because that's not like that's just when I think of it's really difficult because I'm thinking like you say like Johnny Depp and I'm like here's all the Johnny Depp films,
Yeah.
or the Tim Burton films. No,
Well, the next two categories are even harder. So
yeah, might have
He's
might have
a
cocked
Scorsese.
might have cocked this one up.
Michael Mann, that one.
No, I know.
You should have at least tried.
I did. I give you one.
You went around the house
And then I
just to
named
try
a
to say,
load
look at
of
all the,
films
look
that
at
I
all
did
the
that
things
he
that I
wasn't
can name, which isn't the point.
Yeah.
You need to do the
What were they?
game.
What were they?
Do you want to try?
Well, I've got 11 points now, haven't I?
Yeah, but do you want to try and name them? Just
Yeah, see if you
see if
can.
you can do it.
Casino,
Casino.
Goodfellas,
Yeah.
Raging Bull,
Yeah.
and Taxi Driver.
Very good. He also did a film called New York, New York. A film called The King of Comedy, and he did Cape Fear, the remake,
Oh, of course he did.
Oh
which
yeah,
is good.
Cape
Which is
Fear.
really
Yeah.
good.
Well, it is really good, that one, yeah.
Is it? I forgot about King of Comedy as well. That's what the new Joker film's based on.
Mm.
The next one's quite difficult, but it's for you, Brett.
Right.
To go. It is the Coen Brothers and Francis McDormand.
Jesus Christ!
If I can think of...
I'll take Transformers 3.
I can only think of 2.
Right? Can you do 3?
Well, I'm gonna guess just probably in loads of that stuff, just like in the background.
Yeah, that's
Like,
a good
there's a
point,
couple of
actually.
like that.
Just
yeah.
probably like on a phone call in No Country for Old Men or something like that.
That's a good point.
And I'm like,
actually.
what? Is she?
How many she got?
8.
8.
There's two of them that are like that.
I feel like I've known her to be in one film and then she turned up in Transformers 3 and 3 billboards and I was like, I've never seen you before. Where have you been all this
You
time?
don't watch these films, do you?
Nah, I don't.
So what's your answer, man?
I mean, I love Coen Brothers
How
films.
many
I
you
just-
want to
you
guess? I only said 2.
I might as well guess 3.
Are you gonna?
But I haven't got a friggin' clue.
Are you gonna try 4?
I know 2 definite.
Do you want to try 4?
Just go for 4.
Yeah. Okay.
Dan.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
No, I'm great.
Do you want to try 5?
No, because I'm of all the Coen Brothers films I've seen, I don't remember her being in it.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's in. I'm sure she is.
They haven't got that many films though, really, have they?
Got loads.
Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah. Definitely. I can definitely do 3.
You're on 4.
Yeah, but you're on.
I'm on 4. Yeah. I'll get 4.
3.
I'll
do
get
3.
Right. Okay. And then
Well, you gotta go-
try
you
to get me last one.
Yeah, but you.
So
you
Fargo.
go for 4.
Yeah.
Fargo.
Burn After Reading.
Very good.
Yeah.
3 Billboards.
That's not them.
That's not them.
That's the Irish guy. Is it Malcolm something?
Martin McDonald.
Martin
McDonald.
McDonald.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've even just said that.
Yeah, because mine was Fargo, Burn After Reading, and then I was just gonna guess what was the film I was gonna guess. I was just gonna guess Oh Brother Where Art Thou? And
Right.
be like, is she
funny enough,
one of
she's
the
not
women
even
in
in
it?
No, she's not.
No. She's
Right,
in.
okay.
Do you want me to go through them?
Is she in True Grit?
Nope.
Say there's No Country for Old Men.
No.
The
Raising Arizona.
Yes.
Right. That was going to be the fourth one, you know.
What'd you call it? Big Lebowski?
No.
I didn't think she was in that either.
So what
Please.
you said Fargo, Burn After Reading, Raising Arizona.
Yeah.
She's in Hail Caesar.
Hail Caesar.
That was the one I was like, I saw that film like 6 months ago and I'm like, I don't think she's in it, but that's one of those films that's like full of stars.
Oh yeah, I was trying to remember what it was called as well. I was thinking, is it called like
Yeah, it's
Caesar? Is it like
It's-
Spartacus or something?
it's called Hail Caesar, and there's a TV show called Hail Caesar as well, and I was
Yeah.
really confused for them.
There's 2 that I haven't heard of that just got parts in. One called Blood Simple and the other one called The Man Who Wasn't There.
I think
Yeah.
Blood Simple was the Coen Brothers' first film.
It was before Raising Arizona, so I would
Yeah, I
so.
think it's
must
that
be,
first
yeah.
film.
And then she is uncredited as secretary in Miller's Crossing.
Oh wow,
And
great.
she's voice uncredited in Barton Fink.
I knew there'd be a voice. I knew she'd be on the phone somewhere.
Yeah.
Or like she turned up on the set and they were like, "Oh, we need some woman to shout like, get in here now. Will you shout that, please?"
The next one I put in a hard one, but I think it's probably a bit easier than.
So what's the points at now then? Did he get like 4 points there?
Yeah. So he's got 8 and you've got 11. So there's 3 points in it, and it's your turn.
So you just
your turn to go first.
You just guess 3 and you're guaranteed to win. Because I can't get 4.
You don't know what it is.
I can't get 4.
Okay, the last category, which is for you to start, Dan, is 8 possibles, and it is Wes Anderson and Bill Murray.
I don't watch Wes Anderson films.
So you're going with none. You don't know one.
I know one.
Oh, what's it called?
He might be in that. He's in that.
I thought of 2.
Well, I've got 3 Wes Anderson films. 4 Wes Anderson films.
You need to go for
I'm
4.
gonna
You need to go for
4.
4.
I'm going to go for 4.
Otherwise,
I'll go for 4.
Because otherwise,
but as you
can't
talk,
win.
what I was thinking of is left.
So
my
do you want
brain.
do you want to go for 5, or do you want to try and let him do 4? Bearing in mind, if he gets it, he wins.
I'm going to let him do 4.
Woo!
Because I could only get 4. I can think of 4.
Right.
But I definitely can't
There's
think of
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Very good.
There's the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Very good.
There's I don't know the name, so don't buzz me. But
Okay.
it's like the Under Adventures of Steve Zissou, something like that.
You can't just say that though.
Yeah, but it's got a really long title.
I know, but I know it.
And then I'm going to guess he's in the Royal Tenenbaums. And like, I'm sure it's got a crazy name, but I cannot. It's Steve Zissou. I know that much because I remember being like, that's an odd name. And then on top of that, I'm thinking
One more you need, Dan.
Moonrise Kingdom.
Sugar.
Is the Darjeeling Limited? Is that him as well?
Darjeeling Limited.
Limited.
I didn't know if he was.
That
in
was
it.
one of I would have said the 3 that you said,
Yeah.
but I would have said the aquatic adventure.
Moonrise Kingdom just came in. The aquatic.
Yeah.
I was so underwater. You
Right.
could not be closer. In fact, I'd say they're the same thing.
Oh man, I would have got that.
Well, what a great game! I won.
5. Because all of the ones you mentioned are known, and I know Darjeeling Limited. So
I don't know where Moonrise Kingdom came from.
That's the only
Is
round
he-
that you've actually tried on.
And
You won points for
and the Isle of Dogs.
I love
Isle
dogs.
of Dogs, yeah.
Is that?
I don't watch Wes Anderson films, he says.
But
But I know them all.
And you flourished in this round.
But like I say, that's how like so I've watched all of those De Niro films pretty much, except
Yeah.
the stranger ones, and it went straight in straight out.
Yeah.
I've only watched 1 or 2 Wes Anderson films.
But you're just
But
aware that
I
he's in
know
them.
like the posters.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's how much. Well, I've got.
I'm just going to run through them just for the benefit
Oh, please
of
do.
people listening, because
Is there 3
I
left?
don't know which ones you said.
3 or 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Rushmore was the first one they did together.
Oh yeah.
Then they did the Royal Tenenbaums,
Yeah.
Life Aquatic,
Mhm.
Darjeeling Limited,
Mhm.
Fantastic Mr. Fox,
Mhm.
Moonrise Kingdom,
Mhm.
Grand Budapest Hotel,
Mhm.
and Isle of Dogs.
I haven't got any all of them.
I
except
knew
Rushmore.
all of them apart from Rushmore, man. I easily
Yeah.
could have got 5.
They're quite good, iconic.
I like that game though.
Did you?
Yeah.
Because I was nearly like lost in translation. I was like, no, that's not him.
Yeah.
That's Coppola.
I've done that twice in this
So
fucking
at
game.
the end of it, Brett has 11 points and Dan has 12.
Oh.
Congratulations, mate.
Thanks. See, that sometimes coming second.
I
comes
feel like you
first.
did the work in one round there as well.
Tortoise beats the hare again.
Well, out of the 3 people in the room, I came second. So.
Silver linings.
There you go.
By Brett Aymer.
That was me quiz,
I
guys.
thought
Did
you
you enjoy
enjoyed
it?
that.
Yeah, well
enjoyed
done,
that.
mate. Well done.
Brett, you need to bring a quiz next time.
I might.
I have no intention.
Let's see. We'll see.
It's Red Dead trivia. Oh God, spoilers. Dead Space. Now this was reading through the story. I saw it kind of crystallized in my mind that I quite remembered a lot of the story. How
Yeah, I
it
did when
went.
I look back.
And I remember the big twist in the first one, and I was like, as I was reading, I was like, I know what the twist is coming here. And then you feel like silly for being like, it's obvious that twist is coming. Like if it was a horror film, you'd be like, she's dead.
Yeah. Definitely. To be honest with you, that's the only part I remember about any of the series. It's been ages since I played the first 2. Last one I played was the 3rd one, and I lost interest in that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So
it was pretty terrible.
for mine, I didn't even have much of a chance to recap the story. So a lot of mine are just actors that I'd like to see in this film.
Right, well, we'll get. I'll
Should we talk about the games before you do your story? Like, what do you remember?
Sure.
Because I mean, what I loved about them.
So it's just this Dead Space was like launch of PS3, wasn't it? It wasn't on PS2, was it?
It was pretty early on. It wasn't
But it was
PS2.
I'm not sure if
Yeah.
it was launched, but it was quite
It
early
was
on.
definitely early on, yeah.
I had it on 360.
Because the box was like a hand, wasn't it?
Yeah, floating in space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't have a 360 yet, and I was very much like jealous of the fact that was because I thought it looked brilliant. I didn't get a 360 for quite a while after that actually.
I thought that the atmosphere that they created in that game was really scary. I mean, it was very much just jump frights.
Yeah.
But
I tell you what's dated pretty badly.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very. He's like a. We're talking about like the tank controls of Resident
He
Evil.
was like
He's
that
sort of
anyway,
like boom, boom,
and I
boom,
quite
boom.
like that about it because you were in space and he was an engineer, wasn't he? And his
Yeah.
suit was massive. It looked like it was made of copper or something. It was massive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that-
that felt dead heavy.
That
When
suit-
he's stamping and that as well.
Yeah,
that
like
did feel pretty
Yeah.
good.
When you were walking, the footsteps and like
I
the dust coming
wonder.
off. And
It
that,
must be
looked
some sort of
great.
like a gravity thing of like you had to work hard to maybe to stay on the ground or something like that. But it just seems like if you were surrounded by aliens, you'd want to be as quiet as possible, and this guy's just like
Yeah.
cutting arms off and burning things.
The thing is, I loved his suit. I thought it was kind
Oh,
of
the
like,
suit's amazing.
it was kind of like old fashioned, but
Yeah, as if it's like
sci-fi
an
as well.
old-fashioned deep sea diving
Yeah,
suit or
exactly,
something.
Yeah.
exactly like
Yes,
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and it was quite good that you didn't really have a hood. I don't think the game had done that yet. Everything was on the character. You had a big tube on your back with
Oh,
different
yeah.
sections in. That was your health, and each gun had kind of a number on it for your.
That's pretty
ammunition.
original. I don't think I've seen that before. That actually, I don't think I've
The
seen
only
that
one
happen.
I know before that was remember the Getaway on the PS2.
Ah, yeah.
And he used to like limp and there'd be blood all over his white shirt,
Yeah,
and then he
yes.
would lean against the wall and the stains would just disappear.
Mm.
That's the only one I
I
remember.
don't think
that
it was
had
an original thing,
hood-free.
but it was good. But it was good the way they did it. And the whole dismembering of the aliens, I can't remember being able to do that.
I remember for so long being like bad at like wasting ammo trying to cut their legs off because it was easier to kill them once they couldn't move.
Yeah.
Being like, I guess I'm just gonna aim for the face then because I can hit the body no bother,
Yeah.
but I cannot get those legs for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as you got further in the game, you could make
I was gonna say I
you
feel
could make because basically the crosshair was either a horizontal line or
Yeah,
a vertical line. You
that's
could
it,
cross
yeah.
between them, so you could go horizontal, take the legs off, and then they'd go on the floor, but they'd crawl at you on the floor with a
Yeah.
big blade on.
yeah.
You switched to the vertical line, you fired. It was like a plasma cutter or something it was called, wasn't it?
Yes.
Because it was
Yes.
an engineer's kind of cutting
Well, it's a
tool.
real thing. A
It
plasma
wasn't
cutter, isn't it?
It wasn't a gun.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think it's quite as sort of.
No, but they
You
use it.
just fire it forward like that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
don't they use it when they like build like spaceships and stuff? Isn't that actually what they use?
Is it?
God knows.
Because it's like
Oh, yeah.
something like just like incredibly hot.
Mm.
Yeah, so it can withstand like being out in.
And this
Vacuums
guy's just
and
like
stuff as
flinging
well.
it about.
At the start of the first game, it felt great because you weren't a marine, you were an engineer. You got kind
Yeah.
of thrown in at the deep end. You had no weapons on you. Everyone around you was
Yeah.
either killed or spread out.
'Cause you
And
get
you
the-
had to run
yeah.
away, and then the only thing that you knew how to use was that plasma cutter.
The
which
first
was
10
a
minutes was like setting it up, and then they were like, there wasn't any like Resident Evil. Oh hey, what's going on here?
Mm.
So straight Barry, what's going on? It was more like ding dong, aliens are here.
Yeah, yeah.
People
yeah.
are getting bloods everywhere.
You're in the shit, basically.
Yeah.
But like, this is, I mean, we had a conversation about the third one a little while ago, and it's just, it does disappoint you. Go to the third one, and then all of a sudden you're shooting machine guns at people.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
exactly.
well, this isn't Dead Space in the
Yeah,
slightest.
no.
You're not even in space.
I think they just kind of wanted to make the conspiracy of the story even take it a bit further.
Yeah.
But I wasn't interested in that.
Mhm.
I loved being trapped on one ship on my own. There's other people around, but you can't really
Yeah.
get them. You got to work your way.
Isolation kind of feel
Yeah,
to it. as
Well, it
well.
got Resident Evil syndrome, which is people like the story about the drug company, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why people keep
Yes,
coming
mate,
back.
exactly. Yeah.
Or the Alien versus Predator thing, where aliens is all about regular people, aliens is all about money and greed, but it's not about regular people. And then you get Alien versus Predator, and it's like they're talking about
It's about
like,
an alien and a predator.
but they're talking about like going into like space, and they're like setting all things up, and they're like, oh, I'm in, like Lance Henriksen is playing Jim Bishop, and you're like, get out of my face, man! What's this crap about? Where's Sigourney Weaver?
It was good. It was good, and quite old school as well in the sense that it didn't give you much ammo at the beginning and anything like
That's
that.
what
You
I'm
it
gonna be
felt
stressed
like,
because
it felt like survival horror.
There was
again.
no point aiming for the legs because I kept missing, and I was running out of things to hit them with.
Yeah, I mean, I got to the point where I was taking the legs off, and there's kind of a brief animation where the legs go and they kind of like get themselves up onto their bladed
Yeah.
arms.
Yeah.
Where I would run at them and then do that mad stomp just to try and
It's
crush
great,
the
like
head.
tension, isn't it? Is what it is.
Yeah.
You kind of panicking a little bit as well. Like,
And
you feel like you're clambering to the end.
Yeah.
It's smooth and just like
you felt really heavy as well. So when you were like stomping them, or you could stomp or you could swing your arm like. It looked like it was difficult, and you could kind of hit.
Oh
people's
yeah,
heads
yeah,
off
yeah. You'd hit
To
them with
defend
whatever
yourself.
was
It was like
in
a
your
last
eye.
resort if they got that close.
I think it was like R1 was just like this great big like Michael Myers like sweep of your hand
Yeah.
as hard as you
But
could.
then you also had a few. Didn't you have a stasis thing where you could slow down things.
I don't know if that was in the first one. It was definitely.
It was definitely in the first one because next to your health bar there was a little blue semicircle which
Oh
got
yeah,
smaller.
I mean, I didn't know if it was in the first one, but I do remember something like that.
But you slow specific things down, don't you? It's not like you slow everything down.
You can slow any inanimate object.
So yeah, like so, say if someone's running towards you, you slow it down.
Yeah, you can. Or
Yeah.
you can do the enemies. Yeah. So there's like some enemies that you can't get. They're like later on, but they're very armored on the front. They're kind of like on all fours. And as they charge at you, you're supposed to stasis them, go around the back, and you can blast them.
Mm.
That doesn't massively ring a bell, but the blue thing does.
Mm.
That's another extra layer of just to make it something a bit more.
But then there was loads of different kind of necromorphs, wasn't there? There was the ones that would walk around.
There was a great big fat ones. I remember them.
Yeah, and then there was ones that were kind of like dead agile, and they could go on the ceilings, and they were the ones you'd probably have to stasis because they would come out of nowhere.
That does ring more of a bell.
But it was creepy as well because the graphics. I mean, they're probably dated now, but everything was really dark and industrial and scary. You know, the whole ship was out of power pretty much, so everywhere was dark. There was like pipes breaking out and all this.
It feels like if the whole
You felt
idea
very much alone.
if the whole idea of the game wasn't to kill necromorphs, the idea would probably be let's make this a game based on aliens or something like that. But the whole idea of aliens is not really to fight the xenomorphs; it's to escape them. So to effectively take that kind of idea, that world, that those engineers and all that stuff, and just put it there is kind of it's the exact game that I wanted, because I remember there was a game, you might remember it, on PlayStation 2 called Run Like Hell.
No, not a clue.
And it was
the name.
and it was Lance Henriksen did the voice. There was a few people in it who had done voices and like aliens and stuff. And effectively this guy goes away on a mission, comes back, and the space station's just covered in blood, everyone's dead, and there's just like aliens roaming everywhere. And it was kind of running around trying to find guns and stuff. It was a lot more like you had a lot more, like you had a big machine gun and had like 300 bullets and stuff, so it was a bit more action based, not a lot of stealth, but it was, I remember loving that game. And then when I came across Dead Space, I was like, oh, this is the next step of this, because I always thought that would make a wicked movie, or where I think it did get a sequel, but I think it went straight into like it was like it launched at £20. It was, they already knew this thing's dead.
Right.
But I really, you don't get a lot of things like that just hit perfectly, where everyone kind of universally agrees this is great.
I think if Dead Space had come out and they'd released no sequels with it, it would be looked back. People would look back on it upon it with like rose-tinted glass and think,
yeah,
it was amazing. But because they sullied it almost by, I mean, the second one was good, but it was nowhere near as good. It was much better than the third one. But the third one totally ruined it for me. The whole franchise and all, almost, you know.
So, the Dead Space games are set in the future, where humanity has been able to colonize other planets. By the 23rd century, humanity has used up most of Earth's natural resources, and the world governing body, EarthGov, has fleets of planet crackers, giant mining ships that harvest resources by breaking apart other planets to gather materials for humanity to sustain itself.
That sounds like a big job.
Yeah. It also sounds like...
They just say that the ship does it, but that sounds like a job that takes quite a while.
Yeah.
Isn't it like its 35th planet that it gets to? Ishimura.
I'm not pretty sure. It doesn't say on here.
It's funny the first thing that pop in your head
by the
when
time
you're saying that.
by the time Dead Space starts, they've been doing it for more than 300 years.
Oh,
Right, well, it's funny that that's the first thing you thought of when you're saying that. I don't know if it's because I finished work, I haven't had my tea yet, but the first thing
Planet
I thought
crackers.
was planet crackers sound delicious.
Yeah, but like in any other film, these guys would be like the villains, like Avatar, like total villains, like they're destroying the world and stuff.
Yeah.
But EarthGov, which is obviously a great name for an Earth government,
Earth.gov.
those researchers, it's all coming together in this synopsis. Their researchers find an alien artifact which they call the Marker. The Marker emits a persistent electromagnetic field from seemingly no source, which researchers believe could be used to provide limitless energy and solves Earth's ecological crisis. Work begins to reverse engineer the Marker on various research stations across the colonies. They're forced to use bismuth instead of an unidentified alien material, resulting in these duplicates being coloured red instead of black, like the original. The project was highly classified, but the lead researcher, Michael Altman, leaks its existence to the world. EarthGov assassinates Altman, hoping to quell the news, but it's too late. Altman is seen as a martyr, and his belief of what the martyr means for humanity formed the basis of a new cult-like religion, Unitology. That rapidly
Mental guys, aren't they?
Yeah.
That rapidly spreads across Earth and the colonies. Followers of Unitology believe that the markers will help to unify humanity as to make us whole in an event known as convergence. EarthGov researchers discovered that the electromagnetic field sent by the marker and its duplicates cause living people to suffer paranoia and hallucinations, while also causing the dead to reanimate, becoming necromorphs, and attack the living.
What's the religion called?
Unitology.
So do they think that when people are turned into the necromorphs that's part of the
Genesis or something?
Yeah, for them
I think
becoming
it might be,
better beings.
It might literally be in the next bit, possibly. EarthGov immediately terminates the marker project, abandons all research stations where the work had been done while covering up their locations, knowing that Unitology followers would desperately want to seek these markers to advance their beliefs and bring them to convergence. So I'm guessing convergence is turning everyone into like necromorphs or something.
Right.
What a fucking stupid.
Sounds
Who
brilliant.
follows that? How do that many followers? Are there?
Sounds great. So I mean, there's a lot more story in this than I thought there was. I must have skipped past a lot of that.
Well, the gameplay is very heavy, and
Yeah.
you spend a lot of time just
I-
managing items and that. You could forget
But
it.
I
forgot it until I look back. To be
I'm
honest,
kind of wondering where the story could even come into it, because the majority of it is spent by yourself. So at what point are you learning about these things?
you pick up a lot of logbooks and all.
Ah,
which
that's what
if
it
you
is.
don't listen to or read, you probably wouldn't
Do you
get that
do you
much.
listen to every logbook? that you
In something
pick
like
up?
that, I do, yeah.
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 I think it made it a lot easier. So, like for argument's sake, in Batman Arkham Asylum and all those ones, you would pick up tapes and it would just play
Yeah.
whilst the game continued.
Yeah.
If you have to stop,
So did that.
yeah. So if you have to stop and listen to something, it's not happening for me. But if it plays in the background, and I always play with the subtitles on, so I'm always like reading it really rather than listening to it. So I think it, because I remember bits and pieces about the markers and the fact that they were causing it, and there's always a government conspiracy and stuff like this.
Yeah.
There always is.
I'm pretty sure in Dead Space you had the option, even though it played in the background, that you had the option of cancelling it,
Yeah, you did.
and I did that every time. I was just like,
But
wait,
then
where's
there's
the
still
next
there's still text ones which you wouldn't have bothered with at all.
No, nah.
I mean,
So,
even in the old
Burn
Resident,
them.
No, there's certain games where I'm definitely willing to do that, but Dead Space, there's a lot of action, and then there's very very slow bits in between,
yeah.
and in them slow bits I'm thinking I just want to get to the next.
Well, you know what it is? I think there's a level.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a
Drink in
level.
the atmosphere a bit.
Not really. Not in that game.
See, after
You
like,
run through every town in Red Dead.
No, in Red Dead that's one I'm willing to
You walk in it.
absorb into the story. Yeah.
what I was going to say was that sometimes I think like in like horror games, sometimes there's a thing of like, I'm not going to sit and read this because in your mind you're like, there's things around that could kill me, even though I know I'm in a safe area because this game isn't clever enough to keep the game going behind my back.
Yeah, but there's
There
part of
are-
me that's thinking that keep going.
But then there are games like Red Dead, for example, that that you cannot escape. If you want to go into your satchel and get something to get some health, and you're getting shot at, time will slow down. But if you get shot, you die.
Yeah.
Whereas when it comes to horror, I think there's a level of
I think it's
I need to keep going,
Yeah.
because something could come at some point.
that's just not who you are though, Brett. Is it you're not bothered about stopping the action?
Again, it depends what it is. In Fallout, I was perfectly willing to like talk to people and follow every part of the story.
Yeah.
In Red Dead,
Do you read stuff in that book? Because there's plenty of stuff to pick up and read.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
In Red Dead, I read every single. I take the time to walk through the room and find everything you can find, read everything. You can
Oh
read.
yeah. There's nothing I love more than opening drawers,
Yeah.
opening a wardrobe, 1 drawer, 2 drawer,
Yeah.
3 drawers.
90% of the time, there's nothing in
You've got everything already.
them. Yeah.
Great. And
Yeah.
then the
You walk in the
The
hotel
amount of
room that you've
Kentucky-
already rented 10 times and
But
still
how
check the
much
drawers.
Kentucky bourbon is going around? No wonder they didn't get anything done.
Go on my rum.
Everyone's off the face all the time. It's mental.
Every time I see a cigar, it always just says you already have too many of the item, because every room you go into has a cigar.
To collect the cigarette cards, you've got to throw away. You've got to throw a pack of cigarettes on the floor, pick another pack up,
Yeah.
smoke them, get rid of all that. I was going to say like Resident Evil 7. I think there was loads of stuff to read in that, and I can't remember if that was.
There isn't every Resident Evil.
If it didn't, but I don't know if in Resident Evil 7 it didn't stop gameplay. Like it would like come up to the screen and like the world was still existing behind you, and I was like,
Yeah, and
I
there
don't
was
have time to read this because
Yeah.
something could.
All of a sudden,
blackboard,
Jack would grab the back of your head and
Yeah.
rip you off.
To be honest, I think
rip you off.
I think in that game it brought up like, because it brings up when you go into like pause menu, it comes up
Yeah.
like a hologram in front of them. and I think you read it like that, but you can still walk around while reading it, if I
Yeah.
remember rightly. So you could still
I
get
know that rings a bell.
you could still get done.
That's the last thing I want. But then you're in your
I remember in
cougar scenario.
I remember in Dead Space how I was like running out of ammo and I was pretty scared, and I would because the necromorphs couldn't come through doorways in the first one, so I'd stand in door frames, walking a bit closer, getting it to go up and having a look in, seeing where they were, and then backing up again, like right there he is, the bastard, shooting through the door.
So we'll get into the actual story of Dead Space 1. So it takes place in the 26th century. So the story begins in the 23rd century. So it's like 300 years they've been cracking planets. Engineer Isaac Clarke is part of a rescue team called the USG Ishimura, a planet cracker mining Aegis 7, which had gone
Which is
radio
the planet,
silent.
Aegis 7 is the planet.
Right.
The planet cracker, the ship's a planet cracker, and it's mining Aegis 7, the planet.
GS7.
Right, okay, I'm with you. Okay. Their ship suffers damage while trying to dock, and while the rest of the crew look for a means to leave, Clark explores the ship looking for his girlfriend Nicole, who had been stationed aboard it. The ship is full of necromorphs, and he fights through them, discovering that the ship found a red marker buried near an abandoned colony on Aegis 7. The captain, a devout unitologist, ordered his crew to bring the marker aboard, causing the crew to become paranoid, turn on each other, and leading to the necromorph invasion. Clark himself starts having visions of Nicole, who guides him to return the marker to the planet. Ultimately, it is revealed that one of the rescue team members, Kendra Daniels, was secretly instructed by EarthGov to retrieve the red marker, and she betrays and kills off the rest of the rescue team. Clark discovers that the necromorphs were being controlled by a hive mind on Aegis 7, who wants the marker for itself. The hive mind kills Daniels when she tries to make. The hive mind kills Daniels when she tries to take the marker back, while Clark defeats the hive mind and flees in a shuttle. En route back to Earth, he experiences hallucination of being attacked by a reanimated Nicole, showing the influence of the marker on Isaac is still there and will continue to haunt him for the longest time.
The longest time.
For the longest time.
It's definitely written by a press person. It's again interesting. I really don't like it when it ends up being like a hive mind, and there's just like some evil thing somewhere being like, I'm controlling everything. Me. Oh God, you suck. Like, why can't it just be like it's crazy people? Things are going crazy. It's always like
just the
Yeah.
marker itself that's making them.
yeah.
do it.
Why can't it just be that? And it's
The
like,
same way as
and then the question is, well, what the hell do we do with it?
Mm.
Because we can't. Because if we get near it, we're gonna go cuckoo.
Like in the same way, it's obviously a bit different, but like Resident Evil, when other things start to come into it and there's other reasons why it's happening, you're just kind of like, well, I prefer to just be zombies.
Yeah. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, that's why I shoot some zombies. Yeah, similar kind of thing to that.
They just had to have a last boss, didn't they?
If it was
Oh
like,
yeah, for sure.
it was just these.
They couldn't just do a
necromorph-
really big necromorph. It had
they
to
could
be
have.
Well, they could have, but they were obviously like, let's think of something bigger, and it's like so. It just says the hive mind quotation marks. It doesn't even ring a bell for what it was, what it looked like.
A big tentacly thing.
Oh.
I think.
It's like a big.
For that kind of game, you just want things that have came from deep space.
I think
it seems mysterious, and you know.
I think you're right about the Resident Evil reference, though, because games like that are always better at the beginning when things are simpler.
Yeah.
And as it progresses, which it kind of has to, otherwise you'd probably get bored of it.
Yeah, but then you get plant monsters and that kind of stuff. You know,
it gets a bit like it gets just a bit.
What I want is just instead of the 2 zombies that I was shooting at the start, 15 zombies. You know, that's how it gets harder. But I mean, maybe that's just simplified a bit too much.
I think another very interesting thing, which we'll get into sometime in the future when we discuss Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3 a bit more. Although we might not, just because
we're not going to do that today.
Well, we'll try and blast. We'll try and blast through it because it's mainly more story to get through, to be honest. But the thing about it was like that last line. It will haunt him for the longest time. I remember really vividly that Dead Space 2, he's struggling with what happened to him in Dead Space 1, which you don't often come up. Like Chris Redfield, nothing phases that guy.
Yeah.
That guy's
He's
seen
been
his best
through
friends.
hell.
He's had his best friends had his face ripped off. He's been chased by dogs, giant monster. Not asked.
Still as cool as you like.
He's just like, come over here, I've got a machine gun. He's just so confident, whereas I feel like in Dead Space 2, the guy's like, he's like a broken man.
I mean, you know,
Well, his girl, in the first one, his girlfriend's missing, and turns out, you know, she's just been killed anyway.
The
He's
whole
been seeing
time.
those mad visions of her. So.
the stories of games have evolved so much. Like
Yeah.
the games so like far forward. That they think about that. They think of the knock-on effects and yeah.
Very Silent Hill to be like, oh, you think you're actually escaped, and actually, perhaps going back out is actually worse than being stuck here.
I was totally confused by the end when she was in the ship with him. I didn't realize that it was still in his mind. I just thought, how did she get on here?
I don't know.
What?
Is
she real?
Can you leave, please?
Like, it was a big boss, and I was like, oh, it was alright, I was good. And then weird little ending that just confused us completely.
Well, we've only got 3 characters for this one. They're the only 3 that were named in the story synopsis. So shall we go straight in with Isaac? Now, obviously, this Isaac would have to span multiple movies, multiple games.
Apparently, he's 39 in the first one.
Well, I went for an older guy.
I did.
All right. I challenge you to a duel.
I went for someone who could be. He's a younger guy, but he's got.
But you're thinking franchise.
I'm thinking franchise, but also, you know, I'm thinking, you know, if you're wanting to make it look well, there's always the option of makeup.
We've established that many times.
Yeah.
You could wear a wig, perhaps.
That's gone too far, right? That's too expensive.
Anyone says Henry Cavill, I'm going to lose my mind.
This guy is a character, though, isn't he?
Who's going first?
You go first.
So I went for Jack O'Connell.
Yes. Jack O'Connell is just waiting on a franchise.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly my
join,
thoughts. I don't know much about Isaac, to be honest, but I'd
Just a
like to
regular
see.
He's an engineer.
This is the kind of this is the kind of film that I'd like to see someone like Jack O'Connell in the helm.
David?
I went for Guy Pearce.
That's kind of a similar thing that I went for. I went for because I was thinking like I really want someone who would be like maybe could play just a regular guy, sort of like.
Well, he is, isn't he? He's only an engineer. He's you know.
So I did
he's
like
not a soldier or no.
So I went for like Ed Norton, but like
His
ultimate like, oh no, I don't like this.
He went through my head as well though, but like, my thoughts of Jack O'Connell is exactly that. You know, you can imagine him as being just like an engineer and stuff like that, and being a bit pissed off with his job and starting off like in that kind of position and then forced into the action.
That's sort of like Charlie Hunnam's character in Pacific Rim. He's just like a regular guy, but he's just absolutely shredded. But he's like doing like a little construction job, making buildings, making bridges. And
he's not particularly happy about his job, is what I thought. Jack O'Connell, he can play angry quite well.
But he could also definitely play like I'm losing my mind in the second one.
Yeah.
But then he could still be an action hero come the third one.
Yeah.
When he miraculously gets over everything, he's fine. Because the game doesn't want to be that game anymore. Wants to be this other game. What about Nicole? I went age appropriate. I went for Naomi Watts to match Edward Norton.
Right.
Which they just kind of seem like two kind of.
I wanted someone who was a bit kind of could do that kind of supernatural element of it, where it's just like a kind of vision. It could be a creepy kind of vision, you know, but then still kind of very almost angelic, like because he's obviously his girlfriend. So, and I went with Michelle Williams. It just looks like her too.
That's what one. I haven't seen this woman in much recently. I think she's quite good. Claire Danes.
Oh yeah, she's the Homeland girl, isn't she?
Oh yeah, she is. Yeah, but I mean that's quite well since said that though as well.
I think Homeland is in its series 10 or something.
Is it still on?
I think it's in its final season, but it's still.
I haven't heard anything about it for like 5 years.
I think it's because other things it was like the hot ticket for like a year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think it just dies down.
Well, as soon as
they made all the jokes about like a face and she was constantly like screaming and stuff, wasn't she? And they ripped it out of her, and then I think probably Walking Dead came along and just took all that away.
Who was that actor out of the first one again?
The ginger guy.
What's his name?
Damien
Lewis. Yeah, he was in loads, and he's really great. I think once he was out of it, it probably went downhill. Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen him in a lot of things. I think the last thing I saw him in was that charity football match.
He was in.
He always does
in a series called Billions.
Oh, yeah, Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't watch it.
Yeah. I watched a couple of episodes. It's quite good, but obviously not enough to keep us watching it.
Yeah. Although I guess
that's how I felt about Homeland.
Yeah. Same.
I pretty much like.
I do like Damien Lewis. I think he's good.
I think I watched the first full series and then I think I was like, why isn't this been resolved yet?
I'll tell you what else I've seen Damien Lewis in is Your Highness.
Yes,
Oh god, I never got around to
stupidest
seeing
film
that.
going.
that's kind of funny, man.
And he's just sort of placing it as well. That is not a film you'd expect to see him in.
There's some stupid shit in it as well.
Yeah.
Like,
And then we've got the villain of the piece, Kendra Daniels.
you don't know the villain until later on.
Absolutely.
And she is a soldier.
Yes, she's part of the rescue team,
She's
but
Wesker,
she's working undercover. Yeah, that's exactly what she is, and that's why I went for someone who I thought you regular audiences wouldn't presume was the villain. So I went for Sophie Turner, who is someone from Game of Thrones with the red hair.
Yes, she's the daughter of Sean Bean's daughter.
Sansa.
Yeah.
I don't think she's a very good actress in that.
Well, I've seen her.
She's in a new film.
She's
coming out right now.
X-Men, in one of the
She's
X-Men.
one of the X-Men.
She's in a film that's just
She's
coming out now
playing
though. She's starring in it. I can't remember what it is.
I can't remember.
But she's getting pretty
Her face-
famous.
I don't think her face moves. She says lines and her face doesn't move. She's got no emotion, no impact. I don't know. I don't think she's.
I feel like I suspect that maybe in my mind I was like, that's why I think no one would suspect her of anything, because she's like, well, who's this non-character?
Yeah, I don't know how she's getting very far. I suppose Game of Thrones is popular in it. So.
But to be fair though, if she's already in the zeitgeist and they're going to keep giving her things like X-Men,
Yeah.
and she's like, what, 22,
She's
23?
playing Jean, isn't she? Because she's got red
Yeah.
hair.
I'm not lying. 100%. They probably had a list of 5 women. The girl, remember that Evil Dead film? She had red hair. Jane Levy. And they probably had Emma Stone because she had red hair at one point. They were like, which one do you want? And they were like, Emma Stone. She said no. This one, she doesn't like working on big budget films. This one, she said yes.
I had a similar thing anyway with like, you wouldn't really necessarily suspect her. I haven't seen her in any bad roles.
Frances McDormand.
But also she's good at she's good. I've chosen her quite a few times for things because she's good at playing strong.
Oh, hang on, wait a minute.
Women.
Is it either Emily Blunt or Charlize Theron?
Emily Blunt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where's the quiz on that, Dave? Can I read his mind?
I like Emily Blunt. She's good.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Really good.
She was supposed to be Black Widow
Right.
in the Marvel universe.
I still think they made a better choice there.
I think I want to say something like, I think she got pregnant and that's the only reason she pulled out, otherwise she would definitely do it.
Right.
And now she's Mary Poppins, so swings and roundabouts.
There you go.
And she got a baby out of
She
it.
probably wouldn't have got Mary Poppins if she was Black Widow.
We all know that.
I cast someone who I think could do the change well, to become the villain, but you would put all faith in her as the good guy for the rest of the film.
Oh, I've got a feeling now who this is as well, but I'll let you do it.
I went with Tandy or Thandie Newton.
Oh,
Tandy Newton.
Tandy,
is it Tandy? I said Tandy and you said Tandy. And he said both.
It's definitely Tandy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Tandy.
I don't know about that.
I'm 100% sure
She's
it
very
is.
good. In Westworld, do you know where she's... Have you seen Westworld?
Yeah.
TV
Bits
show.
and pieces. The thing I saw in recently was Solo.
Seen that?
That's her with Woody Harrelson at the beginning, with the head with the big afro.
I can't remember.
I guess you didn't like it that much. Well, we're saturated, so it is.
Yeah, but I think she could do that very well, and you might not suspect her beforehand.
But the thing,
Good
as you were saying that, the thing that popped into my mind was the Dark Knight Rises, when Anne Hathaway goes from like screaming to just like, she just changes and she's then just Catwoman. She just walks out. I was like,
I'd never cast Anne Hathaway. I don't know why. I just don't really like her.
I think a lot of people. I
I don't know why. I
There's a
don't
lot
know.
of
I
people
don't have a
just don't like
reason.
I've thought that, and I think that's why I actually kind of like her, and it's kind of like because everyone hates her. I don't know. She doesn't deserve it.
Does everyone hate her? Does it?
Everyone. When
Really?
I mention Anne
There's a lot of
Hathaway,
people
people
just
say,
don't like her.
particularly lasses, if you mention
I wonder if
Anne
that's.
Hathaway
I
around
think it's
girls.
because she's so like happy and she's got like a little bit of that Gwyneth Paltrow where she's always like, everything's great, everything's wonderful, and she's always like, positive thinking can get you there just like me, and it's like, yeah, but you're worth 100 million and I've got no money or a
Like,
job.
I once was talking to a lass about this, and she was talking about how much she loved the film About Time. Or something, which I disagreed anyway. I mean, that's a pretty terrible one. She loved that film. She loved her performance in it.
Verbally abused someone on the bus.
She loves the film. She loves the performance, but she hates her.
She in it, is she?
She couldn't really give a reason.
I thought it was Rachel McAdams.
It is
at the
Rachel
time.
McAdams.
I'm thinking of something else.
He's been too close to the marker. He's got
Maybe
delusions.
Something like About Time.
Maybe that's why I don't like her, because somehow it's dripped in that everybody hates her, and I don't really think of a reason. I mean, I watched Interstellar the other day, and she's a fucking nightmare in it. Like, what is wrong with her character and that?
Yeah,
why it's just so stupid at it?
I've got massive
She's supposed to be a
issues.
scientist. Every decision she makes is
To totally
That's
tangent
not
off,
her fault though.
to totally tangent off, I've
True.
got massive issues with Interstellar. Massive issues. And the fact that Christopher Nolan read the script and put his name to it is...
wrote.
His brother wrote that script.
Aye, but
and Christopher
he
Nolan...
changed it in bits and bobs and wrote it with him. He's got
Yeah.
a co-writing credit on it.
And it's so bad.
I don't think it's bad.
It's not a bad film. It's
I
got
think
it's
it's
got a lot of holes.
It's got... that's exactly what it's got.
Yeah.
Massive holes.
Yeah.
And it's got a great big, like...
Black holes.
Don't worry, we're fine.
Yeah.
It's clearly got a thing where we're going down a thing and it gets so far and they just went, I don't know what to do next.
It does feel a little
And
bit
this
like
film
that.
comes out next week.
But it's got.
But they have to do something, Dan. They can't.
Well, think about that before you release the film then.
It's got definite redeeming qualities though. I don't think.
Oh, I mean, it's
a shocking
fantastic
film.
performances, but there's some characters who are abysmal.
Yeah.
Michael Caine is like a guy who lied to planet Earth.
Yeah.
And told, don't worry, I've got a plan.
I got in order to get Plan B off. Otherwise, they wouldn't want with Plan B, would
Keep
they?
plan B in your pants, you villain.
I'm not getting into Stella, we're not.
No, I just it's I've got massive issues with it.
I think it's very good.
Maybe if it wasn't so long as well.
Mm.
If it wasn't nearly 3 hours long.
I hate that argument. I hate it.
Well, if you really
I hate it.
Yeah, no, but if you're really enjoying a film, I would want it to last forever.
The thing
But if
is,
I really
yeah.
don't like a film, I don't want it to last longer.
But
that's
then
the
again,
simple argument I
You
mean.
say that, but there is films that I've watched where I've thought I really enjoyed that film, but it could have done with being half an hour.
I think people fall
shorter.
back on it though a little bit.
Yeah.
No, I think I always feel well, I don't know, but well, seeing me so. Sometimes when I go out to the cinema, I'm really annoyed that that's actually over.
Yeah.
I want to see more. I feel like Iron Man 1 was a prime example of like, how dare you finish there? You must continue now. Where's my part 2 immediately? But of course we got back-to-back Twilight final films. That would have made you very happy.
That's it.
I tried to watch one the other day and I was like, what's this about? He's definitely a sex criminal. Because he admits he's 200 years old and he stalks her.
I haven't got a clue what you're on about.
Oh, honestly, just like get drunk and watch it.
I'm not going to do that.
You'll have a whale of a time.
Probably watch Interstellar again.
Oh god. Probably blow your brains out.
So that was
right.
everyone in the first game, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
there's
Well,
very
that's
few
it.
people each time. So,
So I've only cast. Well, I've cast 3 more people, but 2 more on your list.
are they in Dead Space 2?
Yes.
Well, let's do Dead Space 2 and then we'll just talk a little bit about Dead Space 3 because obviously.
I couldn't remember the second one as much.
So it takes place 3 years after the first game. Clark wakes up aboard the Sprawl, a space station in orbit around Titan. His shuttle, along with Ishimura, has been recovered by EarthGov and taken here. He and Nolan Stross are patients in a mental hospital aboard the Sprawl, but escape as the station is in the midst of a necromorph invasion. They learn that they both had alien codes implanted in their brains by their respective contacts with the Markers. And the Sprawl director, Hans Tiedemann, under direction from EarthGov, has used this information to construct a marker aboard the Sprawl, which allowed this infestation to occur. Stross eventually is too overcome by dementia that Clark is forced to kill him. Which is hilarious. But not before learning from him where Tiedemann's marker can be found. His visions of Nicole continue, and she further instructs him what to do when he gets there. Clark eventually defeats Tiedemann and makes contact with the marker. The marker mentally tries to have Clark complete convergence by linking with his mind, but Clark fights back to remove the marker's imprints within his mind. The marker goes dead, and Clark escapes with the help of Ellie Langford, a pilot that aided his fight, before the Sprawl explodes.
Is that the bit where they puts the needle in his eye?
Yes, I think so.
That was mental, that bit, wasn't it? Some of the death scenes in Dead Space are...
Yeah, that's
Quite
another thing I
horrendous.
remember. Like Dead Space 2, I think people were like, "Look at these death scenes." It's just as
I
fun
think
to
you can
die.
get killed by... Is it Strauss? Did it say Strauss?
Well,
You can get killed by him if you don't fight him off in the little kind of button bashing cutscene
Yeah.
thing. And he repeatedly stabs you in the eye with a scalpel and takes your eyeballs out.
Yes. Look at that.
It's horrendous.
Yeah.
Now I think Nolan Stross, if I remember correctly, there was a comic book or a straight to DVD anime film.
Yeah, I watched the anime.
and he was the main star of that or
Was he?
something. and then that back.
Is that right? Is that how it worked? Right. I never put that together.
I think that's how they're like linked.
Okay.
Because like they're saying like they've both been imprinted by the connection, and I think obviously you don't know who Stross is really.
Right. Okay.
But there's two anime films, and I think Stross is the lead in the first anime and a comic book, and then for the Dead Space 3 there's another comic book and another anime film, and another character from that turns up. So they're already trying to like make a little universe, but it just doesn't seem to have gone any further than these games really. But yeah, the big thing I remember from the second one is getting done in the eye.
It was very similar to the first, but it wasn't as claustrophobic. It wasn't as simple. There was a lot more going on, I think, story wise.
I think the whole behind the scenes thing of more money means we can do more, but that then takes away from.
It was still good. It's still good.
I think it's famously you are hindered by having less money. It's the Jaw scenario. Less money means you have to be more creative. More money means you can do what you want, and sometimes that's not the best thing to do. So who did we pick? Brett, who have you cast in character wise left?
Stross and Ellie Langford.
Lovely. Let's have Nolan Stross then.
Nolan Stross, I actually went for Ed Norton.
Oh, wonderful!
Yeah.
Is that a happy coincidence?
Yeah.
I cast a clown for my Stross.
A clown.
Yeah.
A clown.
I thought wouldn't it be great to have him playing a bit of a mental patient out with Shia LaBeouf.
Who stabbed people in the eyes and stuff.
Plus, he can get a clip on the end. You know?
That makes perfect sense.
I think he would go for it.
Oh, I think you would. 100%.
And it would be great.
I went for another kind of. I wanted to get like another person who I thought would be like a middle-aged worker bee. William Fichtner.
Explain.
From the beginning of Dark Knight, the bank manager with the shotgun.
Oh yeah.
He's like,
right.
You and your friends are dead.
Oh yes.
That guy.
He's in loads of different things.
He's in loads of things in like small roles.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some
Prison Break is
specific.
Prison Break. He was the villain in the Lone Ranger and stuff.
Did
like
anyone
that.
ever watch that Drive Angry?
Yes, doesn't he play Satan in that?
Yes, he's a big character. Yeah.
And he's constantly like going around like looking at things and being like, "You're on fire now." And then, like, someone just catches fire like, "Ah!"
Shocking film, but it's pretty good
Or
character.
it's called Drive Angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
Would
starring Nicolas Cage.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That makes lots of sense.
It's kind of.
Don't forget, it was Drive Angry in 3D.
Yeah, Drive Angry. Yeah. So, and it was kind of like it was almost exactly the same as like sort of tone as Ghost Rider.
Yes. It was as if it was like an R-rated an 18-rated Ghost Rider.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, shocking.
And another like shocking Nicolas Cage wig. I think he had like blonde like curtains. God, watch out! I'm now like getting really horrible imagery from that film. I'm sure he has sex with an overweight woman whilst fighting like demons with two shotguns.
Like spinning around the room.
He's like spinning around the room,
yeah.
firing shotguns, and then the police turn up.
Sorry, carry on.
Well, the reality of it is like the police turn up and they're like, "Well, what happened here?" And they're like, the woman's like telling them, and he's like, "No." But like, there's like the devil, Nicolas Cage, and then the actual real police are like chasing after him.
Isn't there a similar scene in that film Shoot 'em Up?
Yes.
Yes,
Where they're
yes,
having sex and people are breaking in and he's killing them
This
all
is
while
after this,
continuing
and
it.
they've just basically shamelessly ripped it off.
I quite like Shoot 'em Up.
What about Clive Owens?
I like Shoot 'em Up as well. That was great. It's obviously tongue firmly in its cheek.
Oh yeah. Well, I believe I read
It's
that.
quite well done, though.
Yeah.
It did that well.
I'm sure someone said they wrote it based off of a Bugs Bunny cartoon. That's why he eats a carrot halfway through.
No, really.
Oh, is it?
Like someone saw a Bugs Bunny like 10-minute cartoon and was like, I can make this into a movie.
I thought that was linked, but I didn't realize it looked like that. Like,
I think that's explicitly why he eats a carrot.
I thought it was just taking the piss.
I like that.
Trying to start a thing of like,
Yeah, just like a sarcastic kind of like cheeky character.
Bugs Bunny's like that, isn't he?
Yeah, well, exactly. That's what I mean.
Very
I thought
sarcastic.
that was all they were doing. It's like a little nod to it. I didn't realise it was like.
No, that's full blown theft. What about Ellie then? Oh, hang on, are you? We don't. Are you?
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ellie.
I went for.
I thought she was born, Ellie.
Yeah,
Just a pilot.
which is why I went for Olivia Munn. Kind of like
Yeah.
solid enough actress, but not like.
She's just like a kind of strong action woman. And just,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
all.
Yeah, that's all I was looking at.
I went for Genesis Rodriguez, who's just another like young Latino actor who's just. Yeah, she's like she doesn't need to. She's not in it much, but she needs to be. It needs to be when they turn up. It needs to be a decent actor.
Yeah.
Actress.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did. Like, I wanted someone who who could play that role and who was good. That one with Evangeline Lilly.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why I didn't cast Hans Tiedemann, to be honest.
Well, it doesn't matter. I went for Jeffrey Wright. I felt like from him being in Westworld, it kind of fit.
Jeffrey Wright. He's
the
the
guy with the black
great
guy
voice.
with the glasses. Yeah.
yeah, he's good in.
I thought he would be kind of good as
Yes.
like another villainous scientist.
Mm-hmm.
My first thought was someone like
He's not a scientist though, is he? He's like the. He's the.
well, he's working on he's like he's like
Isn't
another
he like
class-
kind of like the president of that ship? Of
Yeah,
that
but
space
he's like
station?
he's like
He's
another
the one who runs it, the mayor of the ship.
yeah.
he's a dangerous, clever guy.
Is he?
Yeah, he's just another like he's just like Wesker 2.0.
Yeah.
I did Michael Keaton.
That's the second person you've described as Wesker 2.0 in
Well,
this podcast.
Well, that is very Resident Evil.
It isn't.
Michael Keaton's good.
Yeah.
I love Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton should be in more stuff. I know he did Birdman and like everyone tried to get him, but like his earlier stuff, like he's so good, and for so long they just cast him aside like he was nothing. Poor guy. Same with Kevin Costner. Like never has someone been
Nothing,
like
is he?
so famous and then just like I think he's doing like straight to DVD Luc Besson films now.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah, it's a funny with Michael Keaton though. Yeah, I think he was great as well.
But we'll wrap this up with a little bit of Dead Space 3. We've all talked about it
I
that
haven't even played it.
we didn't. You didn't even like what you saw of the trailers and stuff like that.
Well,
I played
got
the
it 'cause it
first
was
20 minutes
when
or
it was
something.
free, and I think I did 5.
Yeah.
I shot a few real people and sneaked around, and people were sniping us and that. I was like, this is not what I signed up for.
I think I rented it and beat it, but I don't remember anything about it other than it's not. It's set on other planets as opposed to set in space.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing as well. Like I thought that I might have got back into it somehow. I thought I was like thinking, oh, is he going to get onto a spaceship or something, and then he's going to be like thrust back into it. But after it got to a certain point, and I think you went to shoot somebody, and then a car came along and knocked them over. I was like, nah.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious that this is where we're firmly set here now. This is what is going to be happening.
I'm 100%. Well, I'm 99% sure it ends with in like a hangar fighting a great big like just like a worm like monster. And you're just like shooting at it and then running onto platforms and grabbing a sniper rifle and shooting. And
Isn't there a potential to play the whole game co-op?
Yes.
Yes.
That's
I mean, I saw that and I thought, well, that's not Dead Space. Then.
that's the other character who they're trying to back to bookend into.
Was he in the anime? This other guy.
Yeah, John Carver, who I think
Is he not the like
the ex
the head coach of
Newcastle assistant manager.
That's John Carver, right? Yeah.
So
He gets around.
I think they thought.
That's John Carver.
I think they thought they could be like, we could end Dead Space 3 here and then do like Dead Space whatever Origins
The new
with John
trilogy.
Carver,
Yeah.
something like that.
I tell you what I did quite like is the very start when you're in the like the snowy kind of and you go
Yes.
to the caves and stuff. I thought it was quite good.
Yeah, that was alright actually.
Yeah.
But
That's a no one kind of foot soldier, wasn't it?
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then-
you're right.
So it obviously has. There's bits and pieces. It's probably like this, the story's probably more of the same. As I've got it written down, I'm not going to go through it. The visuals are obviously great, but it's obviously just that they're just like I say, more money, more scope, and then all of a sudden it's not in space, and therefore it's not what I signed up for.
So for the two characters for that, I just looked at their pictures.
Yeah, I picked for John Carver. I picked J.D. Pardo, who was the main character from the spin-off of Sons of Anarchy, Mayans MC.
Oh yeah.
So he's like another young up and coming actor, but he sort of looks like John Carver. And then for the villain, I picked Alfred Molina, obviously. Dr. Octopus.
Alright, I looked at it. My villain's better than yours, but
What? Ooh.
for John Carver, I put in Rufus Sewell because I thought he looked just like him. Well, you look a bit
Oh
like him.
God, yeah.
Who? Sorry.
From The Knight's Tale.
Oh right.
And then for Jacob Yannick, I thought he looked exactly like Bricktop from Snatch, so I put in Alan Ford.
You might want to rescind what you said before.
Oh yeah.
Is
Imagine
Alan,
Bricktop in space.
is Alan Ford still alive?
Yes, he's in. What was he in? He was in Toast to London, wasn't
Oh yes, of course. Yeah.
he? Like a guru.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a planned film adaptation. Prepare yourselves, boys. Filmmaker John Carpenter is interested in making a Dead Space film.
No way.
It is
I've
said
seen that.
It is said to be very appealing for a horror franchise movie that might surpass Resident Evil. Justin Marks will write the script, but adapting the game storyline and the characters makes the movie production easy. That's a quote.
I thought that was an old story though from when I read it.
Yeah, I think it's based. I think he played the first one.
Yeah.
Said that out loud. Probably paid for the rights or something. Hired a screenwriter and then went, oh no.
It's not quite as popular anymore as I thought it was going to be.
Because I think at this point he wouldn't have made a film for about. Well, we say for argument's sake, we say Ghost of Mars was about 2002. This Dead Space must have come out 2008.
Roughly 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't have made a film for 6 years.
Yeah.
And then he might spend 2 years writing a film that he then shows to people and they're like, we don't know who you are anymore.
Yeah.
You're not the god that you promised us you were. Look at the last. He's had a pretty bad run of form since They Live.
I think pretty much the whole time. People hated The Thing when it came out. Probably
that is true. But that is a masterpiece. And so I think we discussed this. I can't remember if we discussed this the last time, but I heard someone describe John Carpenter as like a terrible filmmaker who's accidentally backed into some of the best films ever made. Like he's got he's got like They Live, which some people love, but it's like clearly very cheesy.
Oh yeah.
The Thing, which is great.
Yeah.
Big Trouble in Little China.
But people, like I say, people hated The Thing. Like
I think a mass audience will hate John Carpenter films.
Yeah.
I think if you're into him, you really, really love his films.
But even he was slammed at the time by audiences and critics and other filmmakers. Like people were saying that it was the worst film ever made when The Thing came out, which I thought was a bit harsh.
Rental.
Yeah.
Because
I got hate from me. Actually, got real hate.
Because the real Ed Wood had made those terrible films that were then later going to be parodied by Tim Burton, and they were still telling John Carpenter he was terrible.
Yeah.
But like Assault on Precinct 13, people consider that to be like a kind of a cult classic now because it was willing to do things. I think that's what they've always said about John Carpenter. He was willing to do things that other filmmakers wouldn't. So if a little boy needs to die in order for this story to make sense, that little boy's getting shot in the face.
Yeah.
Little girl.
Yeah.
Oh, the little girl, oh, yeah. The ice cream van.
And this is why he's in the position he is now.
Yeah, well, he's still making that Halloween money.
Shot little girl in the face.
Oh dear. And that is it. So I don't think we're going to be, unless Dead Space gets rebooted, I don't think we're going to be seeing anything from it soon.
Like I say, I'm not really interested in more, but like I've got very fond memories of the first one, and that's I'm happy with that.
I think there was a quote from the guy who's because the guys who do Despicable Me are now making a CGI Mario movie. And he was like, what I quite like about this property is that it was done so poorly that I can improve upon it now. Like just by making something competent, it's going to be better. Whereas I feel like if you did like a Dead Space movie, I feel like it would just fall into the same tropes of Doom and all them. They'll be like, well, we'll get this sort of, like someone from wrestling, and that'll get that audience in, and then we'll get a young woman, and she'll play this role, and then we'll try and. When
reality shouldn't have more than maybe 4 characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it should be like the Revenant in space.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah, that sounds brilliant, actually.
Yeah,
I don't know if it would even work for a film.
No, it's difficult, and it's
a
always
great
difficult.
game, but
yeah, and
is there enough story in there to hold you, like where in the game you'd be surviving?
And if you adapted it directly, how many people are going to be like, she's dead? That's not real. None of this is happening. It's all in his mind.
Yeah.
If you can see the twist coming,
I don't think you would have a lot of.
Plus, if you've got loads of like. If the whole thing is like chopping off aliens and stuff like that, that's immediately going to get you like a massive could get you a rating, an 18 rating, and you're like, okay, now we've cut off every single person who wanted to see this movie is now not going to be able to see it because we're dissecting things left, right, and centre.
Well, the game is an 18, mate, so really shouldn't be playing it, should they?
I'm talking about money, boy. I'm talking about money.
Yeah, I don't think there's a huge audience for it at all. No, I think there's the few people who liked the game back in the day. I don't think it'll attract that many sci-fi people because they'll be like, oh, it's from a game, and then I don't think it'll attract many other people who just happen upon it either. And even even if they do, they won't get it.
No, yeah, it is a shame. I would quite like to see like what John Carpenter would have done with it.
Yeah,
would have been interesting to see something like that. I think it's more of a thing of if you could get an interesting director to come on board. then you probably sort of like the Silent Hill thing. You get an interesting like arty director, and he creates something that's a bit strange. Whereas if you just get like a gun for hire, a hack job, it ends up just being like another horror film that no one sees.
The main thing I am disappointed that we didn't see actually is John Carpenter's Necromorphs. How he would have actually put them together, because it wouldn't have been CGI.
Oh god,
that would have been the one thing that would have got me excited about that.
I mean, would it be CGI now though?
John Carpenter, do you think he would do CGI?
I feel like they
Isn't he very anti-CGI?
Hasn't he got a reputation for in his old age becoming a very lazy filmmaker though?
Is he?
I feel like they would be like, if we can do it in camera, we'll do it. If not, we'll have CGI do it. Because
if they did it like the thing though, like that would be insane.
Like all of them, like that. There'll be a lot of work put into it, but I think they could do that these days.
Just film it with like 35mm cameras and like just treat it like it was the 80s and be like, if we couldn't do this in 1983, we're not doing it right now.
Yeah.
Just try to do all the same stuff.
I love that idea.
But what we've got now is the budget to be able to do these things, so let's do it.
Yeah, I think
that's Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ask Netflix.
Well, Netflix have got picked
Oh,
up.
Netflix!
We can do it now. We've got no idea.
Get Netflix on the phone.
I'm sure Netflix have picked up Doom 2 or whatever it's going to be called.
Really?
Doom the Next Generation.
Doom Infinity or something. Doom Infinite or something. What it's called. Yeah.
Doom Beyond or something like that, probably. Rubbish. Right, boys. Is there anything you'd like to do next time we meet?
We haven't still done Uncharted, have we?
Dave hasn't played Uncharted though, have you?
I haven't played Final Fantasy 7.
That is also true.
I can wing it.
Do Uncharted or so.
Should we do Uncharted 1?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. And then we'll talk about 45 minutes more of Red Dead.
Sounds good to me.
I've been sucking venom out of men's legs all week.
I might have done like 70% of the story by then, so I'll have more.
You got to keep it in your pants, because I've got no intention
of
doing a goddamn mission.
I've
got no intention of touching one of them yellow circles.
Nah.
No. Not until I skin 2 rabbits and a squirrel perfectly.
Yeah.
That's my next challenge.
So you're in chapter 2?
I'm in chapter 2 still,
Chapter 2, yeah.
Are you guys having any difficulty with the hunting? I find that I constantly...
Barely done it.
Same here.
Yeah, because you've got to find, like, I've managed to study enough animals so that I can work out whether their pelts are good or not. Yeah. And then by the time I find a good one... Yeah, and then by the time I find a good one, I get an arrow and it's just like, it just goes like straight through the whole rabbit, and I'm like, well, that's ruined.
I've never had anything but a poor pelt.
I chased a moose around for half an hour and then it got away.
It's got away?
Honestly, it got away. I shot it 3 times in the head with an arrow. It was massive.
I struggled when I first introduced the bow and arrow. I struggled with like getting a grip with it, even though it's pretty simple. For some reason,
I messed up the first like the training ones. I had to run after the second deer.
It was telling me to kind of lightly press on the trigger and stuff, and I thought that was more important than it is. And then you realise that actually you can blast as much as you like. It doesn't even do anything. But it was the way it's kind of put it to you is if you couldn't press it too much.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would snap.
That is. I think it's It just ends up wobbling a bit.
Yeah.
Just talking about Red Dead now, boys.
Yeah. And just to finally wrap it up, you guys haven't. How many times did you have to do the gun duel before you managed to crack like? Because I didn't read it when it first popped up. So when I died, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
To be fair, it's still quite hard anyway. I quite often just blast it as quick as I can anyway.
So I'm right. You hold down R2 partially, and then you press it fully.
To initiate it, I think.
And then you just aim and fire.
Depending on how long you've held it a little bit is how much time you've got before the other shooter.
But if you're quick enough, you can literally just press it straight away and hope that your marker's on him already. Yeah. So, like
I got the thing where it was like, do you want us to go past this point for you? And I was like, no, game. I can do it myself.
I did a duel where I couldn't kill him. It was like a bounty. And he was dueling it, and I was like, oh, what the hell do I do? So I shot his gun. Worked.
It worked. It's quite hard to do that as well.
Oh, solid.
Yeah.
Took us with 10 goes. But it's good that it doesn't tell you to do that. You're like, well, I don't want to kill him, I won't get the money for him.
Oh, him.
But if you just think outside the box a bit and go, well, what can I do? Often it works.
Are you talking about the guy in the cave?
Yes.
I shot him in the leg.
Did you?
That worked.
Did it?
He doesn't die.
When you're going after
2 different ways of doing it. It's wicked.
Flaco Hernandez, I remember him when you have to take a photo of his dead body and he dives out the way, and I was like, I don't know what to do now, because obviously wasn't 100% sure what I was doing. He dived out of the way. I fired like 3 bullets into a door. And then he dived into a pole and got like stuck. His like body got stuck. Like obviously he wasn't meant to dive there. So I just unloaded 3 bullets into him. Then he dived face down. I couldn't take a photo of him. And another weird thing I found is that you can't like. You can move bodies, obviously, but it didn't want me to move a body. It wanted me to take a photo of them. It was like the way it says on the bottom. So I couldn't do anything except take a photo. So I had to restart the last 15 minutes of my game.
So when you took the photo of the back of his head, it just didn't do anything?
It was like his face is obscured.
Right.
And then I managed to get
You'd think it would say, alright, okay, you failed, the face is obscured, or something like that.
And then I had to go like over diagonally and zoom right in, and then it was like, you can't fully see his face, get closer. It's like, forget it. This was obviously like 3 in the morning. I was like, oh, come on! Oh, boys, I love it so much.
Yeah.
Right.
Fantastic.
More Red Dead and some Uncharted next week. We'll catch you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Grand Pitch Thought So. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to check out our other castings on games like The Last of Us, Silent Hill, and Resident Evil. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, or wherever it is you download your podcasts from. And feel free to get in touch with us on Instagram and Twitter at JPTSPod and on Facebook at Grand Pitch Thought So. This podcast is produced and edited by Dan Hewitt. Grand Pitch Thought So is not affiliated with the motion pictures or video games reviewed or mentioned in any of the episodes. All movie clips and music used in this podcast are the intellectual property of the respective copyright holders, and they are included here for the purpose of review, and no infringement is intended.